starting off high.
We can get
I think
two fools agree on that one. Oh, by the way, look, we got the wide shot.
There was you had accountability. Now what I can
Now all you need is a podcast and a YouTube channel.
no, not even.
Where give me the money. Show me the money.
Apparently there's a Foolproof page.
Shoot the J. Shoot it. Live on Facebook.com/Foolproof Entertainment Network. I need you on Twitter. I need you to repost the Facebook pages.
To raise a human before I would
Trust human to raise back wolves.
before I would trust a pack of humans to raise a wolf.
Right. I hear you. Yo, what up, fools? Welcome to another edition of Do Fools Agree. I am your host, Michael Reggie, as always, here with my main man, Clifford Jordan Jennings. Cliff, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right.
You doing all right?
I'm doing. I continue doing. I don't know how I do it, but I do.
I mean, I get that. That's kind of how I'm feeling about everything. I know, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on, trying to keep up.
Fuck Ted Cruz.
Fuck Ted Cruz. Peace out. While your constituents freeze to death, you like, fuck y'all, motherfuckers. I'm going to Cancun, bitch.
Right. Hope you suck a Mexican dick, bitch. Oh, shit.
Oh, so we got a new toy in the studio. I was showing it to Cliff before the show, and, I'm excited about it, but we'll see.
Hope Shar ain't watching.
Shar. Speaking of Shar. Speaking of Shar. Cliff's over here making a mess already. I became an accomplice tonight because of Shar.
An accomplice? Mm-hmm. Well, don't speak on it. Listen.
Yep. Nope. So let's just say I think I took care of it. I think it's going to go unnoticed. We'll leave it at that. But,
good story.
if we get a phone call later, I'll know why. It's one of these situations.
Oh, shit. Here we go again. Oh shit. Here we go again.
For everybody that's listening, we got a new roadcaster in the building, and I'm gonna have way too much fun with this shit. So anytime Cliff irritates me, we're gonna hit him with what we got? We got that one.
That's gonna be used for you a lot more than me, sir.
That's probably true. Another personal favorite that I got Cliff to laugh with earlier was,
who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
It's the Chewy at the end that does
That's that shit right there. O.B.
Oh, man. So, week all right? I mean, it's another week in COVID and working from home and all that, but you make it through.
You know what? I don't remember anything. Nothing stands out, which means it was a good week. Another one marked off of the list. Yeah, I don't remember anything.
There was nothing fucked up, so you're going to call it a win?
Yeah,
all right.
That's the way those work.
I mean, I get that. I'm with you.
Listen, nowadays the wins are ties, and I don't know what a win is.
You know what a win is? It's being married to a teacher and having Valentine's Day and having a little fun Valentine's evening.
Okay.
And then having a snow day.
Okay.
And having a little snow day fun as well.
I know that's right. All we do is we
what?
Give me some on that. Sound the alarm, sir. That's a win. That ain't no tie.
Oh, man. If she's listening, I'm sure she'll be mad at me for saying that.
I'm sure, but God was on y'all side. God
No
was
doubt.
on y'all
No
side
doubt.
that day.
Oh, so, nah, man, the week was a little rough. There's a lot going on. That's more.
What made it rough? What was rough about it?
It's just it's work. Like there's big shit going on at work, and just trying to keep up. And you know, my team has been largely labeled rock stars, and we had a little bit of a stumble this week, and so I had to address that. And
even rock stars fall off
Right,
the hotel
right.
balcony every now and then.
every now
You
and
just hope the
then.
pool's below.
And we corrected everything, so it wasn't a big deal.
So the pool
but,
was below.
But you also know, like me, perfectionist, right? I'm
Right.
sitting here sending you show notes on hit the showers while you're getting it going.
Right.
So that's just, type A personality on that kind of shit. But what are you going to do?
Listen, what you mean?
Oh, man. You got any kind of inadvertent thoughts to get us going here tonight?
I do have an interesting one.
All right. What do
I
you
have
got?
a very interesting inadvert this week. So, of course, as I do, as y'all would know, listen to podcasts. And as y'all would know, I have 10 favorite podcasts. And
All right.
one of them being the Workaholics joint. This is important. If you haven't checked it out, it depends on what kind of humor you have. But
So is it by the two or three guys that starred in
four.
Workaholics, the four?
the drug
Okay.
dealer and the three main dudes.
Gotcha.
The Carl dude and the...
Mm-hmm.
he was the producer of all that.
Mm-mm.
He produced the whole thing.
That's awesome.
That's why he was only in there every now and again. But
Were those his? I mean, are they like?
they all lived together. And
Okay,
like
so
that house that
that's
they
like a
filmed
legit
in,
crew.
They actually lived in that house.
Got it. That's awesome.
That-
I love hearing shit like that, like Adam Sandler and his boys, and
Listen.
like Kevin James, and like I feel like that's what we're trying to do.
That's exactly. I'm almost mad that you brought it up.
Is that
so
the inadvertent
soon.
thought?
No, that was
Oh.
definitely not the inadvertent. But I was definitely mad you brought it up so soon because that's what I feel like. Of course, that's what we plan to do with the network.
Right.
Of course, but as
Even
far
that Buster
as,
Malcolm.
right, right. But as far
He already
as,
in the chat talking shit.
Is he?
No, actually, he was chiming in about the sound effects. So,
Oh, okay.
Glad you appreciate him, Mal.
But as far as all the podcasts that I'm involved in specifically, no, I mean even beyond that, even with Jeff's podcast, like these are all people that I love, of course.
Yeah.
So I can't think of anything I would enjoy more than to make it to a comfortable position with the people I love to where we don't have to be stressed with the everyday,
Yeah.
workings of corporate America or
Right.
navigating such or whatever the
Yeah,
case
that would
may
be an ideal state if we
Right.
could do something big enough where we didn't have to work those kind of jobs. That's
And-
still a long way off for us,
Oh,
but
for sure. Well, you never know.
and right
I
now
mean,
I also like having it as a hobby, something that I look forward
Right.
legit. I look forward to this show every week. Like
I do too.
even weeks where I'm exhausted, tired, and I'm like, fuck, I don't know if I really want to do this. By the time we get to Friday, especially about noon on Friday hits, I start getting excited. Like, I can't wait to hop on there and just have fun with Cliff.
Nah, I
tonight.
haven't really had a day where it's like I don't really want to do this for a while. Like back in the day, like back in the beginning, it was like, do you really want to do this today? Like, come
Right.
on, like
Just
you
getting
got shit
started.
to
Yeah,
do.
yeah. And I know you don't like doing the Thursday shows, even though you do a Thursday show now, fucker.
But I don't really drink on Thursday.
I hear you.
Thursday.
I don't
did
know.
last week.
I was about to say, I've seen you with a beer on every Thursday show so
No,
far
you
for Hit the
haven't.
Shower.
Last week was the first week. The year
Well, there's
before
only
you
been
saw-
2 episodes on Thursday.
That's a 50%. So you're wrong 50% of the time.
You had a beer last night on the show.
Right, I said that was my first.
No, and the Thursday before you had a beer.
No, I had a
you
Gatorade.
didn't. Was it a
Rewind it
Gatorade?
back.
All
Correct.
right,
And
all
I
right, all
pulled
right. I'll
the-
rewind it back.
I
I'll rewind
pulled
it back.
the label off. So now
I just assumed that you had swapped it out.
Gatorade pay me.
That's the way that I used to work on track buses.
It
You
wasn't
fill
a-
up the Gatorade bottle with a little gin and juice. Nobody could tell. It looks
wasn't
like
a
lemon
blue-
lime Gatorade.
It wasn't a blue flat beer. I can tell everybody that. But yeah, no. But but you said it. The Adam Sandlers, the Seth Rogens, the people that stick with the ones that they came up with always resonate the most with me. So, given the opportunity to do something like host and produce my own podcast. I feel like I don't want to follow someone else. You know what I mean?
I get that.
Like,
I get that.
Like, I don't trust anyone else to do it over myself. You know what I mean? Now, that's why our relationship works so well, because I know how your mind works.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that your gears are turning even after the record button gets turned off. And that's why I feel like we work. You feel what I'm saying? Now, not to send shots at anybody that I do hit the showers with, but step it up, motherfuckers. I need everybody to be on the same accord. I should feel like that about everybody. But the goal is not to get off topic,
honestly,
is to make it
in defense
as the group.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
I don't want to be Beyonce. I want to be Destiny's Child.
I hear you. And I think thus far, I think it's clear who your real co-host is on the show. Well, I like fucking with him and telling him he needs to find some jerseys that actually fit him. But nah, Malk's doing a good job with the show. I think you two are a good balance on the show.
He definitely is.
And I love having Malk on here every once in a while too. So he's a good dude. There are times where he needs to strengthen his game a little bit. Although I will say, now this is what I'll give y'all both of you credit for yesterday. Y'all both were in nice confined spaces, solid background. It looked professional. All you needed to do was click full screen on your fucking Zoom.
I noticed that.
Because you had the fucking bars around the bottom. I was waiting for the bar at the bottom of the page to say like Pornhub or some shit.
No, as you would. No, sir. It's a throwaway phone for that.
You got the porno burner phone.
Listen. Throwaway for that. You don't gotta worry about that. But fuck it. Inadverts.
So what else you got?
This is Important Podcast. So they were talking about marriage on the This is Important Podcast, and one of the topics of conversation were best men. And they said...
full transparency for our listeners, Clifford was my best man.
Listen now. And once I get the story out, you might find out
that it proves a point.
Listen. So, they said that back in, the days, like way back, you picture your groomsmen. Mm-hmm. Your groomsmen were based on the closest people the closest swordsmen that you knew.
Makes sense.
Because the idea was if someone, what do you call it? If somebody
challenged you to a duel?
Well, no, if you object to this wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, it wasn't just words. It was people trying to
a fight or a
duel
kill at that point, yeah.
And that would be on your groomsmen
to defend you.
Then know the wedding's going down. I'm the best man type shit. Not letting it happen.
Got it. So basically, if there was a challenge in terms of almost getting tribal with it, but if somebody was going to say, no, that's not yours, that's mine. Objectifying women as property, right?
Right. Well, listen, because the story goes on.
All right, I'm listening.
And you'd be surprised to find that the truth of the history can often be worse than So, of course, they have their little back and forth banter. Eventually, they say, I don't believe that's true. And you know who was the one who said, I don't believe that's true? It's the Anders, the tall... Right, the one who plays his role in the show. So they look it up. So what it says is in the 16th century Goth Renaissance, there used to be marriage by capture. Meaning if I liked her, I would go get her. We married once I got her. Now, what your groomsmen and best men were for were to...
They were your accomplices.
Not even. They would be the ones who would go get the girl for you.
Oh, okay.
So that would mean that was, that's my best man.
So I feel like I still chose right in this regard.
All I'm saying is...
And honestly, best man and groomsman, let's think. It was what? It was you. It was Jake. You two alone could go grab anybody.
man I've ever fought with a sword or kidnapped anyone for that matter.
I'm glad you clarified there.
Right, and I should have probably put one before the other. But all I'm saying is, if it was a challenge, you probably got the right man for that. Just saying.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
The lawyer lady up there in the booth is telling me to say allegedly.
Listen, apparently we have a lawyer lady, and allegedly is what I should say. So
there you go.
But
There you
I
go.
feel proficient with the sword, and like if there was marriage by capture, we'd be what's it called? We'd be the multiple wife.
We'd be polygamists. We'd be Mormons.
That's what I mean.
Have a whole bunch of sister wives up in this joint.
Oh shit!
It's funny you say that. That's a running joke between me, Shar, and Mel. I keep inviting Mel to be a sister wife.
Listen.
Especially if she's bringing her cooking skills and her understanding of how to infuse anything with cannabis.
CBD and all that. Listen, that's all. Utah and Ohio ain't that far.
Right?
You know? Expansion.
I do have so they're starting to talk about a ban on vape products going through the mail, which is going to fuck my day up.
Yeah.
But I did manage to get 2 vape juice things of CBD, like flavored CBD stuff. So I'm excited. They're decent. They're good.
And
they're good flavor. They're pretty strong.
Okay,
too.
so you got because you know that there's there's vapable CBD and the other you can't do.
Right,
vice
like
versa.
tincture you can't do
It'll
that
make
way.
you
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, this is vapable stuff.
Okay.
And I want to say it's like 1,000 milligrams or something.
Oh
decent,
shit! You about to be loose.
Calms me down.
You might be loose.
I'm not doing that one tonight. But.
You might not improve your deadlift. That loose. It might help your back, but your deadlift
Hey man, it's all about pain management at this
go
point.
down
I'm getting
a few
old.
100 pounds. Listen, I feel you there.
Although I will say I went pretty heavy this week. I was starting to get back into it. So the problem is that I usually go on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the last 2 Tuesdays has been when we've gotten that shit ton of snow both weeks. And so my workout has ended up being just shoveling the fucking driveway. Because now that I have a driveway, that takes a little bit of work.
That's for the workout.
But I did make it to the gym on Thursday, put up 425 for a triple in the squat.
Okay.
And was still throwing up about 225 in the bench for a set of 4.
Yeah, I don't. At the moment, like I said, I've canceled all my gym memberships since COVID, and then, like, don't get me wrong, I have like a bench and I have dumbbells and all that at the house, so I still do all that. But I'm definitely not doing what I should be doing.
Nah, I hear you.
But I'm still losing weight, ironically.
Well, I mean, your size, do you want to lose weight? Like, I never know with you, because there are times where I know you've said, like, you feeling like you got a little big. But for the most part, like, you're not a big dude, Cliff. So I'm always like, do you want to lose weight? Or are you trying to gain weight? I don't know.
What it comes down to is, like, coming from, like, the fighting standpoint.
You always want to be close to what your fighting weight was.
Right, and that's, like, let's be honest, that's changed drastically since I've gotten older, but...
If you were going to fight in 3 to 6 months, let's say, what would you fight at? What weight class?
160, 155.
Okay. What are you weighing right now?
Probably 175.
Okay. That's not awful. Let's take 10 to 20. Somewhere in there.
And that's usually it. 15 to 20 is usually a cut, but...
I mean, I lose 10 pounds when I take a shit, so...
Shit, I wish.
I'm down right now, so I crept up to 315 probably around, or just before the holidays. I'm at 285 right now, so...
But I'm also only 5'5", so
that's
when
true.
you're 5'5", 175, you're a little... It's not in the right spots.
It's obvious.
Right, it's a little thicker.
Well, I think you look all right, Cliff.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll take that one.
What else you got in terms of inadvertence? Anything?
No, I won't say. No, you know what?
Say it. Come on, let's go.
I will say. I've already said, fuck Ted Cruz suck a dick. I've already said that. And I'll continue to say that. And God bless all those people that are struggling down in Texas. But I don't want to hear Southern people talking about how tough they are.
When they're getting beat up by a snowstorm.
You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean that because I know it's been rough, and I know, let's be honest, because you're on a Texas grid, you're probably not ready for something like that.
Well, and
but
honestly, that's the big thing though, is the loss of power, right? Like,
right, that's the issue.
But that's what happens when you deregulate energy. Like, yes, you're fucked.
I mean, but see, the thing is, and this is what it comes down to, and this is what's rough about it, is the people that live there didn't choose to. You feel what I'm saying? The people that run it did. The people that are off going to Cancun chose that. Right. You feel what I'm saying? So now the people have to suffer for that, but at the same time, I don't want to hear how cold you are. You know what I mean?
Right. Or that your house burned down because you started a fire in it to stay warm.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, honestly, though, like, let's be honest. Like, just being honest. Devastating situation. How many times have you had your power go out in the wintertime?
Multiple.
More than I can count.
Right.
In times that it's been off for days.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like, that's
it was the ice storm back in
2019.
It was like right after, I think it was it 8 or was it?
It might have been 8.
It was either 2008 or
Mayfair, and all the power lines got blown down
it was
on
either,
top of the snow.
It was either 2008 or 2010 because I was back in Columbus where the trees had basically crystallized.
Right. Right. But what I'm saying is I'm not trying to take anything away from anyone, but I saw the videos of all the abandoned cars on the road, and I was thinking to myself, like, why?
Because
why are they abandoned?
Because they don't know how to drive in the snow.
That's the first
It was
thing.
safer for them to leave the car.
Listen, though, but here's the big but. Your car's warmer than your house.
True.
So why the fuck?
But eventually gas runs out. Gas will run out before a day or so.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess if you can't drive in the snow, you can't make it to the gas station to read.
True. Yeah.
But to see all those cars on the road,
we going down to Houston, we robbing motherfuckers.
And that's funny that you said that, because that was my first thought. I said if they were in Ohio.
Allegedly. The lawyer late.
Factually, if they were in Ohio, the stolen car rate would be so high. You would see people out there with hair dryers thawing them bitches out, trying to get into the. Just let me get the handle, pouring boiling water over the handle. Just to get it.
No doubt.
Listen, it just tripped me out. Like, it reminded me of that time when Atlanta got them couple inches of snow and they shut the freeways down.
They shut everything down, yeah.
And it was like, people were getting out their cars and leaving. Like, what the fuck?
What are you thinking?
Like,
Aaron, what are you thinking?
Listen, I'll never forget. I went down there, of course, to Atlanta back when I was doing music.
Yep.
And it was these two little boys. They was probably like 10 and 11. Never seen snow before. It snowed down there when I was down there.
I mean, honestly, my son hadn't really seen a ton of snow until this year, so
well,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because it really hasn't snowed much the last 2 years at least.
You are right about that. Never thought about that. Yep. But nonetheless, they was down there, looking at the snow, playing in the snow out there. First of all, they didn't know what to wear. Had shorts and sweatshirts on. You've never seen this before. But there was like little ice.
Although I will say that Jake and I used to walk to class in a foot of snow in sweatshirt and shorts.
No, I'm sorry.
In Pittsburgh.
I have to be the one to point this out, but there's a difference between you and Jake and the residents in Atlanta, Georgia.
That's true. That's true.
And I doubt
it didn't hurt that we were both over 3 bills at that point. And had our own natural heat.
And you probably had sandals on.
I don't like sandals. I don't like open-toed shoes, but
I bet Jake had.
I was rocking those Monarchs, man.
Oh shit! That's a throwback, not even a callback. You threw that bitch back. You threw that bitch back. But about? What were we
We were talking about Atlanta in the snow, and you were talking about these little boys in the snow.
Oh yeah,
shorts.
they were little puddles, like like where the water froze,
right?
And they were skating on the puddles in their tennis shoes, and just to see their faces, though.
But it cracked and they fell in.
No, they were like parking lot puddles.
I understand, but even when they crack and then they get those shoes wet, that shit sucks.
Listen, just to see their faces, how much joy and amazement they were having.
You've never felt that joyful about anything, have you, Cliff? Maybe the first time you got some ass.
Pending. We're still pending that request. That request is still pending. We're waiting for the joyful.
We're still waiting to see that one.
But it was interesting to see coming from somewhere where you can literally be buried in snow.
Right.
The first time a kid tries to slide across the puddle.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean? But
basically skate across. I tell you what, these three little boys that are going around here with my son and his friends.
The amigos.
They I caught them playing this game yesterday. Literally. I'm going to do this in my Ron Burgundy. Apparently you just line up across from each other and run into each other. That's what they do. That's what they call it fighting, and it's supposed to be wild. Literally, they just fucking line up about 30 feet apart, put their arms over their chest, and just run into each other and see who falls down.
They're missing the exercise ball.
I guess so. Well, no, they do that when they're on the kids' trampoline 2 doors down.
Okay. Well, listen.
Oh man.
If y'all
and I have to like cringe every time I see my son line up and actually hit somebody. The thing is that he doesn't follow through. Like, he knows that he could take these kids out at any minute, and so like he'll stop his feet early, kind of deal.
Right.
So that he's not.
So it's more
leveling somebody
into him than he's
pretty much for the most part.
Hey Reg, give him the thunder.
I just want to see it happen one time. Just
bring the thunder. Just bring the thunder one time.
Oh man,
that's what I want to see.
I mean, he's got a switch, man. He does. He can flare up and temper.
Well, I mean, it clearly hasn't been flipped yet if you haven't gotten any.
Oh, if we haven't had to like literally take a kid to the hospital, you're right.
Or talks
the thing is that he does a good job of saving it for us.
Right.
Saving it for his parents. Because I've seen him flip, and he's hit me hard before.
Right.
And I've had to give him that look like, you getting old enough now that you hit me like that, I'm going to hit you back. Just a quick little ta-ta.
Listen, I mean, it's just going to be fingers. It's going to be a finger.
Yep,
right
exactly. Little finger snap.
Right at your chest. You're going to have this pink chest.
Right.
For the rest of the day.
You're going to have 4 dots across your chest.
I'm telling you.
Oh, man.
But, did you slide by an inadvert again?
I always do, because I never
that
prepare.
That's the ongoing trend, is that I inadvert, it leads the conversation, and then we just move on.
Then we just move on, because I usually don't have any. I did not have any good ones this week. I'm trying to think back. I thought I had one at one point, but I don't think I ended up writing it down, so I don't think I have.
You're present, sir.
You don't think I'm present?
No, not here today.
Oh.
I'm saying throughout your week. I think that's what it comes down to. I think that you're so into your work schedule or your day.
Right now I am, especially
as to what's going on. See, me, I always like to see what's going on around me, whether it be hearing something or seeing something outside.
Completely with you. Really since I got promoted back in November, but really the last 4 weeks especially.
Right.
We took on a lot of work.
I believe it, and you got promoted.
Right.
But football, bro. Head down, get you run over.
Completely understand. And the thing is that there's a lot of things that I'm juggling at work. And the nice thing is I'm still doing a good job of shutting it off at 5:30, 6 o'clock every day.
That's good. And this is
No. But I'm with you. I completely agree with you. There was a period of time, especially leading up to the promotion, weirdly enough, and then the first month afterwards, where I still had a fair amount of free time.
Right.
I am finally back to a level where I was probably 2 years ago, where I've got the quote unquote right amount of work for me.
Right.
What I would say is I probably had the right amount of work for other people that entire 6 months leading.
That's a good way to put things. I
Yeah.
think I'm there too. The only difference is I didn't get a promotion. I'm just finally back to
I hear you. But
ground zero.
my whole thing, and this has always been the case, it was the same thing in school. Like, I work through things faster than most people. And so what's a normal workload for probably 80% of my peers at my job I make it look like light work.
Right.
Which is nice because
that's usually what I do until they realize I can do that.
Right.
Putting like the fix this.
And that's where I fucked up, Cliff. I fucked up because they finally started realizing like they can throw shit after shit after shit at me, and I get it done.
Well, see the difference.
Now I can get at least share it with the team, but.
And I know I've expressed this to the fans for a while now. I don't give a fuck about that job.
Right.
So at this point, it's no, I will not. No, I will not. Just no, I will not. I'm not going to keep correcting the trainees' mistakes because they're not getting trained on the errors they're making. I'm not going to do that.
Until you are paying me to train them, I'm not correcting. Yeah.
I'm just not going to do that, and you can do whatever you feel is necessary at this point. It's to the point now where the supervisors above, let's be 100, above the African-American employees have less experience. You feel what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying.
I've been at the job for 3.5 years. I believe my supervisor's on 2.
Okay.
But went up the progressive steps to be like, well, just put them in there.
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing, though, because we've been here before. A lot of that is a setup. Because don't get me wrong, even my black ass isn't asking for that job.
Right.
Because if you offered it to me, I'd say, no, thank you. I'll stay where I'm at. No, thank you. Because I know you set people up for failure.
Right.
And these are people that are so headstrong thinking that they're progressing into the company when really they're just waiting to pull the rug out from under your feet.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
And I know how that works, which is why I will never inch my way into a position that I know I don't fit into.
Yeah.
In this, and the more I realize it, it seems like in general, corporate America, I just don't fit into. Can I do it? Yes, I can do it well.
Right.
But as far as what you expect from me and what I'm expected to give back, you won't get it.
No, and I think that it's one, that's a very self-aware thing because I have, being where I'm at and especially now leading a team, right? So being back to a point where I'm really leading a team of folks.
Right.
You would not believe the number of people that aren't self-aware enough to either make the choice to stay in their current role or realize that moving up, the grass ain't always green.
Right. It's everybody.
And I will acknowledge even that in myself to some degree. Like, while I wanted the promotion,
right,
I was also super comfortable at the role I was at because guess what? When it came to ranking me against all of my peers at that level, I was fucking out of the way our system is. It's needs improvement, performer, achiever, outstanding.
Right.
I have never not been in the outstanding category my entire career until this most recent one after the promotion.
Listen, I had the longest perfect streak at my old job. Shit.
Right.
And then you put me here, and it's like, well, listen, we expect you to do what you expect to suck a dick. What you're already expecting from me for what you're paying me is outrageous. So if you expect me to move up and take on more responsibility when you haven't responsibly paid me,
right?
Go to Cancun with Ted Cruz.
So I'm going to use that as a segue real quick, just because there were a couple good comments in the chat.
Let's do it.
Let's see. We got Malcolm chiming in with, I'm king for a reason.
Shit.
Listen, next 6 months, I'm getting some shit in the works, getting my feet wet right now.
Let's go, Mal. That's
right.
Right.
It's easy. It sounds like big talk. Nah,
he on the right team.
The Rita chiming in with Matt is good with the sword. I don't know. He does the Ren Fair thing, and then there is.
I bet he is.
I agree. Next, see, Uncle Dan chiming in with, see, this is the first thing Cruz did that made me think he wasn't an idiot or wasn't a moron. No heat, power, water. I'm out of here. What the fuck was he gonna? What the fuck was he gonna do to fix that shit?
Said that?
Uncle Dan.
Listen. Fools agree. God damn. Listen, you are correct.
And then Malk chiming in once again with, Cliff ain't beat my streak. He lying.
Oh, you're nuts. You're nuts if you think that. He's nuts if he thinks that.
I'm just the messenger.
And listen, I got proof. You feel me? I got all them certificates. Where's yours? Rockstar. But anyway,
you want to move into our first main topic of the night?
Yeah, let's do it. What's the
Well, I only really had 2 in the title, so we'll see. Tell me about that Mortal Kombat trailer.
Listen, that's what I thought.
Finish him. Honestly, those are the sound effects I should have pulled up. I fucked up there. That's my bad.
Yeah, you did.
Because it would be great to go to a finish him right now.
It's all right, though. Listen,
I'll get there. This is the first week with the Roadcaster.
Progression, G. It's all right. It's not an issue.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Listen, and it took me a while. I know everybody wondering where the fuck that came from. It took me a while to realize Grand Theft Auto.
Mm-hmm. So what?
But that voice sounds so.
Oh no, it's perfect.
Everybody knows it.
They do, and once you know that, it's like obvious.
Where is it from?
Yep. But I will say that I did steal that a little bit from my favorite group of our network in terms of podcasts with the Schmodown stuff. They used to start their live show with that and then go into their theme song. So I just like the clip, and I think it fits with us.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
But anyways, jumping back, Mortal Kombat. What are your thoughts, sir?
And listen, we're not against stealing.
No, not at all.
Allegedly.
Right, I was waiting. I was almost going to
Up
give
here
you
in the
that.
booth is telling me to say allegedly.
He hit that. I didn't. We're not against stealing. If you're not doing it well, we'll do it better. Let's just let you know that, Schmo.
And just let me figure out how I
Cruz.
take the 8 pads and make it 16, because there's a button that I can do like 16 total sound effects. Yeah, there's something like that. But it's not. But it's not that. Like, I think there's something on the touchpad that I got. I'll figure it out. Just yeah. But give me another 2 weeks. I'll figure it out. Start thinking about what sound clips you want. We got to get the showers on there. We got to get something else on there. I don't know.
Okay. But nonetheless, which is my favorite saying, Mortal Kombat. If I'm being honest. First of all, let me just stop. Let me rewind a bit. First trailer I actually got geeked about since 300.
Okay.
Like, geeked about, like, oh my fucking gosh, this shit looks good.
It looks, while I think it's still going to be kind of...
It's going to be amazing.
B-movie from a plot standpoint, it looks so fucking gritty.
I'm glad that you said that, because it brings up some questions, and I'm kind of jumping ahead here. I'm kind of because there's things I don't like about it.
Okay.
The first thing that popped into mind is the wardrobe.
I hear you on that.
The wardrobes are off. Like, the eras are off. They're mixing eras.
In terms of, like, they're mixing eras from a Mortal Kombat standpoint, like from the games.
Right.
There's some that feel like they're the 90s game, some that's the 2000s.
Too, though.
There's a little bit of that. But you also have to. Like, you've got to evolve, because guess what? They did the 90s version of Mortal Kombat.
So listen to what I'm saying.
Okay,
so,
I'm listening. I'll let you go.
Out of everybody in that trailer, the only one that was updated was Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero had the Revelations outfit on.
Okay, yeah.
The little oxygen mask thing.
Yep.
The metal oxygen mask with that Sub-Zero didn't start like that. We know that. He had the blue covering over his, like Scorpion did.
It was actually Sub-Zero's, I can't remember if it was his son or his clone that
right,
started.
that came back with the
with the Bane mask. Oh, Batman.
That's exactly.
Bulls agree.
That's exactly what that is. But he's the only one that had that, right?
Right.
They introduced Scorpion, and this is what's interesting. They introduced Scorpion as himself when he came out there and fought the dudes and threw the thing through his face.
Yes, where he
down.
wasn't masked
that
yet.
That was Scorpion regularly, right? But what's funny is that was older. He was older at that point.
Yes.
Right? Then you brought him into fighting Sub-Zero, but he had the young Scorpion hood.
Well, and that's where, okay, I hear your point there. Yeah.
Your old Scorpion with the young Scorpion hood and the vest. The Revelations vest, which you ended with. So you basically were wearing the undersuit of what you started with the oversuit of what you ended with, while Scorpion was in everything he ended with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just from a Mortal Kombat fan, it was kind of like, well,
yes,
even Liu Kang was in the white with the red.
With the red belt, yeah.
What the fuck is it? Nobody knows Liu Kang like that. Red pants, red belt.
Right.
Red thing.
Yep.
Why the fuck do you have him as the beginning if everybody else is at the ending?
So, I hear you on that.
Hopefully, it's like a
that's the thing is that
like back in the day type shit.
And that's the thing, like watching that trailer and even the voiceover that they were doing, like for what was it? It was like for 100 generations. There's been this turn. Like we could be watching flashbacks.
Right, and I'm hoping that's what I was trying to. That's
yeah,
what I was trying to.
Was flashback.
I'm hoping that's it.
Yeah,
but it didn't seem that way.
I mean,
it just didn't seem that way.
Here's the flip side: is we have not seen a good video game adaptation movie. Period. So meaning a movie that was based on a video game that actually stuck to the story of the video game. Like they always feel like they have to do something different.
Right. Assassin's Creed was horrible.
Right.
It was horrible.
Honestly, like I know what was it? Sonic has gotten decent reviews, but it was very much like a family movie, and I didn't like it. I mean, it worked because it was COVID and there was nothing else out, so it did well.
Oh, so
but
Sonic came out during COVID?
It came out,
I think Tails and Knuckles in it?
No, but Knuckles is rumored for the second movie. And
Knuckles is supposed to be a girl?
I don't know. Tails. I thought Tails was a girl and Knuckles was a guy.
Vice versa.
Maybe. I don't know. Anyways, digress. But there just hasn't been a good video game adaptation. Mortal Kombat, the 90s.
Wait.
Honestly, the best one was
say,
World of Warcraft.
Well, you know what? That's a good toss up, and I haven't seen that, but
it was very Lord of the Rings like.
Based on what I saw from the previews, I was like, that seems kind of on.
It was a little weird. Just the CGI was a little weird. It was that uncanny valley.
Like ogres were kind of cartoony.
But outside of that, probably a relatively good, like, faithful translation.
No, that's a good one. I was thinking what came out first, and this might not even work, but the Ninja Turtles game or the movie? I feel like the game came out first.
Yes, but the cartoon was out before the game, and the comics were out before the game. That's why I said this probably doesn't work. Yeah. No, Ninja Turtles, I would consider that more a comic book movie.
Yeah, I think I agree. I agree with that.
In terms of live action. And they've done like a shit ton of, like, Ninja Turtles hasn't gone away. They still do a movie like every 3 years, it seems like, or every 5 years. And they're not that bad, actually. Like,
really?
Andrew likes them. My son likes them, and I like watching them with him.
That's what's up.
Honestly, like, my 2 favorite video game movies of all time are cheesy as fuck, and it's the 90s Mortal Kombat.
I like it.
And honestly, the Street Fighter movie too.
You know what? I know why now. I used to always ask my mom, like, do you ever remember going to see Sleepless in Seattle or what's that one movie ain't with the Goo Goo Doll song? And I don't want the world
to see me. I don't know.
City of Angels.
City of Angels. Yep.
I saw all those like rom-com movies with my mom, and I was thinking like, I mean, but that's to be a child of a single mother. You
right.
know what I mean?
Right.
Because I was thinking to myself like,
what
why?
movies have you seen? Did you see with her when growing up?
And she used to be like, I don't remember that. I remember every movie we went to see together, and I always remember seeing movies that I was like, you tricked me into this one. No I thought City of Angels was like some, they were coming down and fighting shit. And
it's funny you bring that up, so.
But she took me to see Mortal Kombat, and I'm thinking, that's a trade-off.
Yeah.
That's a trade-off. But you're still the mom. I'm not rom-com. But continue.
But she wanted you to come with her. Or she didn't want to pay for a babysitter. That's really what it was. No, it's funny you say that because I tell you what, like, one of my biggest memories, and I honestly don't remember what movies we went to see, but, I mean, you remember. My house growing up, there was no air conditioning. The heat, my mom kept it like 58 degrees. So my dad's big thing was, especially when they got divorced and he was living in that house in Clintonville, because that didn't have central air either, was we used to go to the Dollar movie theater, either at Bryce Road or up at Carriage Place at that point. And we would just go see like 2 or 3 movies to get out of the heat. And so like that, I think that's the reason why I have the love for movies, especially like 90s era movies, is because that's what we would do during the summer is we'd literally go see 2 or 3 movies back to back to back to stay out of the heat sometimes. And so we're talking about these like cartoon or these video game movies, and I'm like, Super Mario Brothers, awful movie, god awful. And I think I saw Uncle Dan chime in the chat, agreed in terms of.
I love Super Mario. John Leguizamo, I love that movie. I love that. I would still watch that to this day.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I would watch it now just for the. Or Double Dragon. Do you remember Double Dragon?
I do remember Double Dragon.
Oh, now Double Dragon was my jam.
That was awful.
That was awful too.
That was awful. I mean, I understand why he liked it, but it was awful. Because let's be honest, Double Dragon was that fucking shit.
Yeah.
If you had what? No, it came out on Sega.
Original Nintendo, bro. I mean, they may have done more on Sega, but original Nintendo was Double Dragon.
That's what I was wondering, if it was Nintendo or Sega. So it,
but they had the medallion, the 2 halves of the medallion that they had to put together.
I'm like, it was the Sega one was a remake, and it added in the second version of. But yeah, that game. Listen, I remember playing that game.
Traditional side-scroller beat-em-up. That's the genre.
Speaking of, and I'm glad you brought that up. Let's cut it. Cut all that Double Dragon shit. Because does not hold a candle to Mortal Kombat, and that's what we're on.
Which is the really revolutionized the fighting genre after Street Fighter.
Well,
Street Fighter was the original.
Well, see, here's the thing. This is what I was getting at. I know you're not aware. I know for a fact you're not aware.
What are you going with here?
The Mortal Kombat version of Double Dragon.
No.
You never played that?
No.
Liu Kang and Kung Lao. Or you know they're supposed to be like cousins or
yeah. There's
like
some relation there. Yeah.
They made a Mortal Kombat where it was Streets of Rage style. Where
okay.
We were co-op, and it was a co-op game, and you know.
What generation was this in terms of systems?
This was Xbox.
Like the first
original.
Xbox. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was
PlayStation
2. That would be 2. Yeah.
Xbox original and PlayStation 2.
Which I missed that generation until basically they were out of generation.
Listen, that game.
I did PC gaming during that point.
That game was so amazing. It was so amazing, like, because it was like I said, like you said, it was walk around fighting, But when you got to the end level, like you could like tag each other in against the boss. Like, oh, he's getting his ass whooped. Hit Liu Kang. Liu Kang.
I
comes
feel like
in.
I remember seeing it, but I don't think I ever played it.
I care. It's Shaolin monks.
Okay.
Mortal Kombat Shaolin monks.
Got it. Yeah, no,
that.
I was about to say that it rang a bell, but I don't remember playing it.
And then once you beat it with Liu Kang and Kung Lao, you then got to replay it with Sub-Zero
and Scorpion.
Me and Aaron beat that. Well, me and Aaron bought that and played it. Me and Face beat that.
Got it.
I think.
So
it might have been me and Aaron and me and Face, but
I got one for you. We're talking about video games that you actually beat. Do you remember what video game we beat at the arcade? And I'll give you a hint. I think it was Shelby's birthday party. It may have been your birthday party, but I feel like it was me, you, and Shelby.
Was it Time Crisis?
No.
Because I beat that before. Damn, if that don't tell you how old a motherfucker is.
Right?
Time Crisis?
Time Crisis. This was a little bit older than, or a little bit newer than Time Crisis.
Jurassic Park?
Boom! Dude, we probably dropped $50 worth of quarters into that shit. But the three of us beat it that night, and Gordon might have been there too.
The only reason why I knew that is because I've then used those talents to beat it again with other people. I beat it with Olander too.
Oh, okay. All right. Good deal.
And his dad.
After we did it.
I was like, hey, let's play this game.
Hey, so I'm going to go back to the chat just real quick because my mom, I think, is feeling salty.
About what?
She said, what movies do you remember seeing with me? Mom, we have gone and seen so many bad horror movies, one.
Oh, I bet that.
Two, I remember seeing all the Lord of the Rings with you. I remember seeing all of the prequel Star Wars movies, every Star Trek movie that came out after he passed. I remember seeing a lot of movies with you, too.
My reads, in his defense, I feel like my mom tricked me into all of those movies. Because I was at an age where I could stay home alone.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't know what I thought City of Angels was.
Did you think it was Constantine?
Right. Sounds a little more at my speed. But I forever loved that Goo Goo Doll song.
And I don't want the world.
That's my shit. I still listen to that every now and then. But what I say, Sleepless in Seattle.
Yep.
Now that one.
You got mail. Did you see that one too? That feels like that was that same era.
You know what? Not with my mom, I didn't.
All right.
But I do remember being very young, renting that from the library.
Got it.
And I hated it.
My mom is also chiming in about Wyandotte Lake.
That might be why I like rom-coms.
Is it?
My mom.
It's because your mom. Yeah. I mean, rom-coms are good, man. There's always an opportune time. I'll tell you what. College favorites rom-com was.
What'd your mom say first? Ladies first.
She didn't chime in with anything on that.
What was the last thing you said?
Oh, I said that she said you went to Wyandotte Lake a lot too, and so yes, we had I think a family pass to what is now Zumbizi Bay. Back in the day was Wyandotte Lake.
I got a Wyandotte Lake story.
What's that? Actually, I've got a Wyandotte Lake story about you, motherfucker.
Oh, shit. It's two Wyandotte Lake stories.
It's not even a good story. It sticks with me to this day.
Uh-huh.
And this just shows what a good friend you are.
Oh shit.
We are up at the top of the water slide, and this lifeguard says, "You got the most beautiful eyes," to you, Cliff. And you turn and you're like, "What about him? He's got nice big blue eyes too."
She must not have been my type.
You're type. Oh, shit.
You always try to plug the fan, man. We started out with that. Call me Adam Sandler, baby.
Right.
Call me Adam Sandman.
All right, I'm sorry. Where were we?
No, I got a story.
All right, Wyandotte Lake story. That's right. Go for it.
Went back in the day, somebody we went to school with.
All right.
Not gonna say no names. Last name Wells.
Okay. I know what you're talking about.
And you know he was ignorant. So we at Wyandotte Lake, right? And there's these two older girls.
Shocker.
Right. We're in the wave pool. And the waves are going.
All right.
He says, Cliff, go tell that girl I bet you can't touch your elbows behind your back.
Okay.
Now, to be honest, if I'm being honest, I didn't know what he was saying.
Didn't put it together what
so
he
I'm
was
like,
looking
what are you
for.
talking about? He explains it to me, and the wave pool's going, right? So I say this to these two young ladies who both proceed to put their elbows behind their back.
Young ladies that were older than you, though, right?
Only
Based on the
like
story.
a year
Okay,
or so.
all right,
So
all
like
right.
we were probably like 7th grade. They were like 8th.
Got it. All right.
They were exactly, because here's where the story.
Well, yeah, because if it was Wells, yeah, that makes
right.
sense. That tracks.
So listen. So do this right as the wave pool hits the two young ladies. Swimsuit gets knocked off her chest. Only one though. The other one caught it and was like trying to wrap her up type shit.
Set you up. That's what happened.
Listen, set me up, right? Go to high school the next year. Both the young ladies.
All right, Hannah. Oh.
And they know who they are too. Won't say no names or last names, but y'all know who y'all are. I was a very interesting. Listen, but it got me in. So
There you go. There you go. So wrapping up the video game conversation or the video game movie conversation, or do you have something else?
I do, because before we wrap that up, I have some questions for you.
Well, I was going to circle back too, just like
we need
generally on the video game movie conversation. So go for it. What do you got?
What were you gonna say?
No, I was just going to bring it back to, I think we hit on kind of what the video game movies that have been memorable. My question was going to be like, what's a video game that you'd like to see turned into a movie or a show that hasn't happened yet?
Well, that's a great question. But before we get there,
I'll circle back to that one.
Let's circle back to the Mortal Kombat because I had
Okay.
questions. Because I know you saw the trailer. I sent you the
I
trailer.
did.
So my question:
The dude who got killed with his own blood after it was frozen? Dude.
that was Scorpion.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like that one. And then where they froze Jax's arm and just shattered it. There was some good shit, man. It's definitely what I will say that it looks like it's going to do. It's going to take what was kind of cheesy in the 90s movie and make it just hyper fucking realistic and gory.
Isn't that how Jax lost his arms?
I thought it was Kano or Goro that ripped his arms off. I didn't think it had been frozen and got knocked off.
Oh, I thought it was.
But again,
Sub-Zero.
this is what we're talking about, though. It depends on what version of Mortal Kombat you're talking about.
Right.
Like, I feel like the original Mortal Kombat it got ripped off by, it was either Goro or Kano. Kind of cut it off. I didn't think it was Sub-Zero. Maybe it was.
Well, see, I could.
And
be
again,
wrong.
if we're talking about Mortal Kombat 2, which is my Mortal Kombat, like when I think about Mortal Kombat, I think about Mortal Kombat 2. Right?
Game.
That was the one that came out with Sega Genesis, Sega 32X, and Super Nintendo.
So I was a little before that.
Yeah.
So I was the first one with the little white boy that popped on the whoopsies.
Whoops, Toasty.
You know, they did
it was
that.
Toasty.
No, first it was whoopsie.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's where, because Mortal Kombat 2, you had to hit, what was it, like 8 or up and start at the same time to get the secret level or some
first
shit.
It was whoopsies and then they changed it
Mortal
to
Kombat 2 was
once-
Toasty.
Yeah, uh-huh.
That's how you would get to, was it Reptile? Was it Reptile? That's how you, was the Toasty or was it Noob Sabot?
Well, there was a couple different levels that you could do that in. You could do that on Scorpion's level where you uppercutted him and he didn't go up. He went up and off the side down into hell and then you dropped down with him. Or it was
Was
Noob
it the
Sabat
bridge?
did have one as well,
Yeah.
but it took you up into like that. It was like a. It almost looked like a spaceship, like a.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to say what I remember
No,
is
not Noob Sabat. It was Cyrax.
No, see, that was Mortal Kombat 3. Mortal
That's what I'm
Kombat,
thinking
Mortal
of.
Kombat 2. It was either Noob Sabat or Reptile. I think were the only two hidden characters. Maybe there was a female hidden character. I can't remember. But I think it was just Reptile and Noob Sabat, at least in the original Mortal Kombat 2.
You brought up a good point, though. That's another thing that I didn't like about this trailer.
Was Reptile is like an actual reptile?
No,
that one?
You saw Reptile?
Yeah, he was like
I
a
didn't
lizard.
see
He was like a
Reptile.
lizard man.
Well, he used.
He
to
was
start
one of the
out-
he was one of the lizard men, Cliff, that we were talking about 3 weeks ago. Callback, bitch.
Womp, 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 No,
Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool
you
who
right.
follows him?
You could have Stevie Wonder piano them
all of them at
one
the same time.
Oh,
But,
shit. Here we go again.
You're gonna make me piss on myself. We're gonna need a break if you hit another one of those fucking. Where were we even at? What were we talking about?
We were talking about Mortal Kombat secret characters. You said that made you remember something, and then I started fucking with the buttons.
Oh yeah, no, I was saying I don't like that they made Melina black. Melina wasn't black.
No, because she was
Jade
Katana's
was black.
sister, right?
Jade, Katana, and Melina were all sisters.
Okay.
Jade was the Chinese looking one. Melina was the like lighter one with the crazy mouth.
Yeah.
And Jade was the black one that kept her mouth covered with the pole.
Gotcha.
And you made her Jade essentially with a mouth.
See, I feel like that was
You know
later.
what I'm talking about?
I
The
feel
chick
like
that licked the side.
I know what you're talking about, but I'm saying I think that was later games after I stopped really playing. Like I haven't honestly, I haven't played a Mortal Kombat game in probably 15
Oh, see,
years.
I love Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat was my shit.
No, and I get it. I'm just saying, like I haven't touched a Mortal Kombat game in probably 10 years.
But I didn't see Reptile in the preview. Where did you see him in the trailer?
I might be quoting something else. So
Okay.
I thought I don't know.
You might have seen something that I didn't see that is what, I didn't think it was.
Yeah, we'll go back, and if he's out there, I'll give you the timestamp, and if not, I'll acknowledge next week that I was wrong.
But that's how he started out. Reptile started out as an actual reptile. He wasn't a human with the face.
You
He was
couldn't
that
tell
reptile
until
like
he did a fatality.
Well, you're right, because it wasn't until the later Mortal Kombat that they actually showed him as the reptile.
Without the ninja getup.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, you're right.
But
yeah, I didn't see him. But one of the questions that I had was, well, I got a couple.
All right.
One of them was, of course, who was your favorite Mortal Kombat character? We can't talk about that without knowing.
in terms of just like my personal favorite, like growing up,
Right.
I always liked
favorite to play with.
Favorite to play with was Sub-Zero.
See, I'm a Scorpion guy.
See, that was my second favorite. Like I liked playing with the ninjas. Period.
Right.
Or if we're gonna go to Mortal Kombat 2, playing with Johnny Cage and doing the fucking nut shot.
See, I hate it. Now, if we're going original, I would have to say, well, of course, like I said, like my favorite is Scorpion, so I like playing with Scorpion. But without him, my next would be Kung Lao. I like Kung Lao.
See, I would have gone if it weren't one of the ninjas, and I said Johnny Cage. I was facetious about that. It was Liu Kang, like the bicycle kick or the fireball or.
See, when that game came out, that Shaolin Monks, I was the perfect person to play with because I don't want Liu Kang.
Got it.
You take Liu Kang, I don't want him.
I hear you.
I'll play with the guy that nobody.
So Kung Lao and the razor hat.
Yeah, I like him.
I got you.
I always thought he was better than Liu Kang anyway. It was just Liu Kang was the.
So I have a question for you.
Well, you know that's what the storyline was. That like the original storyline of Mortal Kombat was they were cousins, and it was always a fight to see who was better.
Between those two.
Liu Kang and Kung Lao. Liu Kang, of course, got more play in the, you know what I mean? But honestly, the stories of it, Kung Lao and Liu Kang were similar. They were like on an equal.
Yeah, because they were both from kind of like that Shaolin.
And even in the game, they had a couple scenes where it was like they would select who they wanted to go on, and Kung Lao would be like,
right,
like why am I not?
Why are we doing this? Well, and that's where too, like, it's so when you bring up like favorite characters to play with. Honestly, you want to know who another character was that I loved playing with, at least in Mortal Kombat 2?
What?
Because his fatalities were super fucking easy, was Raiden. Because you could get that shock fatality in Mortal Kombat 2 where you grabbed him and just kept shocking him until they exploded. It was the easiest fatality to do. And back in those days, doing the fatalities was hard. I don't know what it's like doing them now. Like, part of me is like, is it just like a quick time event?
Some of it is.
See, that's bullshit. Back in the day, in like the arcade version of Mortal Kombat, you had to do like back down. Like, it was something ridiculous. Like, some shit, you had to push like a 20-button combination in the 5 seconds from when it said finish him to when they fainted.
Well, see, I learned
and be at the perfect distance.
I'm lying. I didn't learn on the arcade. I learned on the PlayStation, but the arcade was the first time I could do fatalities guaranteed. You know what I mean? Like in the game, you try to hit it real quick and you be like, fuck that up.
Yep.
In the arcade, it was like I was driving
because you were, because you could actually, you had to be deliberate with your movement.
Right.
Versus on a D-pad where you could hit back, but you could actually hit back and down or whatever.
Right.
I hear you on that.
Right. But to answer that question, favorite carrier, Scorpion.
Sub-Zero.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go Scorpion either way.
I hear you.
And that's another thing that I was questioning about this movie too, is because, of course, they spoiled it. The Liu Kang dragon fatality at the end where he hits the ground and the dragon.
Yeah.
Like, of course, you're spoiling the end of the movie. That's how, of course, the movie ends, because that was Liu Kang's.
Unless it's super flashbacky, and that's something that like happened 100 years ago. So that's the only place where I could see that. Like, I'm not sold that we saw things.
No, I know what you're getting at.
My hope is that they did kind of what Disney does really well with their trailers lately, which is the trailer is literally the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Right.
And then everything in the movie actually is like past the trailer.
That's very interesting.
Now, the good news is this is all on HBO Max, right? So it's dropping day and date movie theater and on HBO Max.
Birthday or my mom's birthday?
April, I want to say it's like April 16th. That's what I thought.
15th.
I thought it was the 16th.
16th. So yeah, that's my mom's birthday. My dad's the 13th.
All right. A-Reg's is a week later.
A week later from the 13th or the 16th?
Just under a week later from the 16th. This is 22nd. Okay. His is Earth Day. Anyways, circling back. Okay. Anything else on Mortal Kombat?
Who was the dude with the birthmark?
I wonder if that ends up being...
Is that Baraka?
Possibly. I also wonder if that ends up being a new person being introduced.
And that's another question. The only reason why I said Baraka is because when they show him and they say he pulls his shirt down, he's staring in the mirror, and then he sees that dude behind him with the sharp teeth, and he looks back, and I was thinking, is that him?
That's him. Yeah.
Later?
Yeah. Possibly.
Because that brought up another question. I was either thinking, is this a person that is not in Mortal Kombat and they're showing it from the perception of like that new character kind of?
Yeah, and
which
that
would be fire for your next video game if you
that was my initial thought.
First, yes. Right. I thought that until I saw that. I rewatched it back and I saw him turn around in the mirror and saw the spiked teeth.
So you're wondering if like he was seeing a reflection of kind of his future self kind of deal, and if it was Baraka. I can see that.
I don't know if you're aware, they came out with a Mortal Kombat trailer back in 2016.
Okay.
Where Michael Jai White was Jax.
Yes.
And it never ended up being, it never came out. The story behind that was where they, like
and Michael Jai White would have been great, by the way.
I think they got him better with this one.
Okay.
I do. I don't know why I do.
Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit too with the other main topic, quote unquote. Too,
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why, and that's an interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because I thought that originally too, that Michael Jai White would make a good Jax.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the trailer, I just didn't feel it.
Okay.
I like.
Well, maybe that's part of the reason why. Maybe it was circled around him, and
I liked the trailer, and it did seem the first trailer.
I feel like that. Did that movie come out in like a direct-to-video type thing though?
I don't know.
I feel like there was. I feel like one came out in like 2014 or 2015, or maybe 2015, 2016.
Because they explained the story of Baraka in the trailer. Like he was one of the main characters other than Jax. And what they explained was he was a surgeon who practiced karate or whatever, the type of fighting style he did.
Yeah.
But he basically recreated himself.
Okay.
As the surgeon, he added implants to his arms. He filed down his teeth. He did everything as the surgeon to himself to create the Baraka character.
Got it.
And my question was, when I saw that, was how are you going to introduce him? Because let's be honest, if I'm remembering correctly, he wasn't involved in the first couple Mortal Kombats. There was no Baraka.
He was either in 2 or 3 where he was introduced.
I think it's 2 when the one where.
But they never. But there's not a lot. Well, first of all, back in those days, there really wasn't a lot of story in the video game, other than like if you read the manual.
Right. But the one where Baraka, if I'm remembering correctly, was introduced was the one where you would fight on that concrete slab and there was acid around him.
Yes, you're right.
Uppercutted him, he fell into the acid and he popped up as a skull. Yep. Right. That's the one where I think Baraka came into play.
So that was Mortal Kombat 2, so that was one of the early ones.
Still pretty early, but he wasn't...
but I feel like there wasn't like a fleshed out backstory with him at that point.
Right.
Like so Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Liu Kang had fleshed out backstories in Mortal Kombat 2.
I'm wondering how they introduce him in this movie, and if they don't have him in it, I'm going to be very upset.
Well, what would be interesting is if it's like a last second reveal too, right? To your point, like if this character,
like almost on a Mortal Kombat 2 type shit,
right? Where you get through almost the entire movie and then like he turns into Baraka at the end or something. I also
noticed that Shao Kahn, was just the statue in it.
Yep. So that's where I got tripped. That's where I got tripped up a little bit because honestly, the Scorpion scene, I wasn't sure if that was Scorpion or Shao Kahn, or not Shao Kahn, Shang Tsung.
No, that was Scorpion.
No, I'm with you, but at first I was like, is that Shang Tsung?
I thought when they first showed him, until he
until he sent out the dagger or whatever. Yep.
That's the older Scorpion.
Right.
Though. You know what I'm saying? There's so many different Scorpions if you follow.
Well, at this point, because the game has been around for 20, 30 years at this point.
That's another question I want to ask is, does the final Scorpion show up? Where he peels his mask off.
And he's the skull or whatever. Yeah.
Skeleton.
Because that's
something completely different. And if you followed the Mortal Kombat movies, they weren't alive.
Right.
That Scorpion's not alive. That's the dead Scorpion.
Yeah.
So that would mean that Scorpion that you showed in the trailer would have to die, probably via Sub-Zero
or whatever. Yep.
And then come back as the Flaming Head Scorpion.
No, I'm with you there. I'm with you.
And then my only other question was, other than any, and you might have already answered it subconsciously, other than any character that they played in the trailer, who would you like to see in the movie?
So I'm trying to think. So who did we see in the trailer? We saw Sub-Zero, Scorpion,
we saw a piece of Sonya
Jax.
Blade. Like they showed her face, who I think plays her face.
Yeah.
But they didn't really give her a...
So...
I mean...
There was no Johnny Cage.
Yeah, no, there wasn't. There wasn't Johnny Cage. But his let's be honest.
No, his whole shtick...
He's a bitch. He's the actor.
Completely agree. Completely agree. At that point, I think I think it would be fun to see him come in and like immediately get wiped out.
You think?
I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah, he never lost. He never lost immediately, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Like he always beat the first person he was in the thing with. Then it was like that realization of, oh, this isn't a game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get fucked up here.
So what I think what it will end up coming down to is like either do they find a way to make Goro not cheesy? Was Goro in it?
Yeah, he was in it. He was the dude that jumped up. He jumped up with all four of us.
Oh, that's right. Who were we saying earlier? Shao Kahn. Where he was just a statue. I think it would be interesting to see him pop up.
Game. They had to call him back down, and then he broke the statue and came out.
Right.
I think they're going to do it.
I think the other one that would be interesting...
I think that's the Liu Kang shot with the dragon.
Okay,
how
where
are
it's...
you going to beat Shao Kahn?
Right. Fair. All right.
Because it wasn't Raiden that beat Shao Kahn. It was Liu Kang that did.
So, other point...
At least in the game.
Is Raiden in the trailer?
Yes, he was. He was they introduced him, and he was the one that looked up and his eyes glue. It was a horrible Raiden, if I'm being honest.
But it was real quick, right?
Raiden, though.
Okay.
They even said his name, and he just looked up with
just looked up and it came.
Big Trouble in Little
China.
Yeah,
you're right.
And
You're right.
his eyes glue blue. But they didn't show him fighting, though. They just showed like a lightning bolt coming down with
Got
him.
it.
But out of all of those people, I was just thinking, like, who else would I want to see in the game or in the movie that was in the game that I didn't see in the trailer? Immediately, a bunch popped up.
Who are the ones you thought of?
I lied first to rewind. I said my favorite person to play with was Scorpion. Lied. Favorite person to play with was Stryker.
Oh, okay. Yep.
The guns and the...
See, I was going back and forth. So when you asked me the question, I was thinking between Stryker and Nightwolf.
Okay. Yep.
Because Nightwolf was the Native American, same kind of deal with Stryker, right? Like, yeah.
But yeah, no, my favorite player to play with was Stryker. Love Stryker. But out of all of the people in the movie that I would like to see that I didn't see, I feel like you named one of them, Shang Tsung. I need to see her. I need to see Shiva.
Okay. Shiva was one that was a little bit different. Yep,
the screaming one. She also didn't come in until...
Mortal Kombat 3, I think.
Yeah, you're right. And then there was one more I had. Fuck, I didn't write it down. Smoke. I wanted to see Smoke.
Okay.
I want to see Smoke. There's never been a Mortal Kombat where I've seen Smoke. I don't want to see Noob. I want to see Smoke.
See, my other one that I was thinking was Noob.
Really?
Like, just seeing the shadow, just because
I know
as gritty and realistic as that movie is,
probably would be beastie.
It would. I wonder how they could do it and make it beastie.
See,
is more my question.
That might be why I was thinking Smoke.
I hear you on that. Same idea.
Noob.
Yep.
And I could go either way. I would be satisfied if they did Noob right and left Smoke out.
Yeah.
Or if they did Smoke right and left Noob out.
But if they got one of those two in and managed to make it feel real.
Right. I'll be satisfied.
Because I feel like, honestly, that would be terrifying to some extent.
That would. Either one.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I'm with you there.
Yeah, I think I agree on that, too. I would hold my beer out, but my bladder's full at the moment.
So why don't we do this? Why don't I talk about WandaVision a little bit? Tonight's episode, the most recent. You go take a piss. And then I'll tag out, and you can talk about something for a minute. So while you're taking a piss, figure out what you want to talk about.
He was born December 28th. Fuck. All right, I'm pissing.
All right, so hopping over to WandaVision real quick. If you have not seen the latest episode, go ahead and just put it on mute for about 2-3 minutes because that's about all this will take. The latest episode of WandaVision, we finally get to what I will call kind of the big reveal. And what's frustrating about it is the big reveal is happening here, I think, in the second to last episode. Third to last episode if there's actually a secret episode 9. But this is where it all starts to come together. We finally get the big reveal in terms of the villain. So Agatha Harkness shows up. We also have Vision and I'm blanking on her name, but Darcy, Kat Dennings. Darcy kind of starting to figure things out as well. I think what's interesting is that you are also hitting the point where Monica Rambeau ends up gaining her powers. So there is a lot that happens here in this week. And honestly, the payoff feels like it's going to be there in the closing episode or 2 of WandaVision. Still kind of holding out hope. The flip side is I think that the build-up has been so good, so strong through the first, 5 to 6 to 7 episodes that I'm not sure they can actually deliver here in what should be just an episode or 2 left. So my hope is high for it, but if they don't deliver in these final 2 episodes, I think the show itself ends up being a wash and ends up being something that you don't need to watch. That being said, I do think that the transition from WandaVision over to Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be a strong one. I do like kind of what I'm seeing from that show in terms of trailers. I think there will be a ton to be able to play with in terms of Falcon and the Captain America mantle, in terms of I hope they go in depth in terms of what it means to be a black Captain America. I think that they will approach some of those topics, but Disney does. Disney plays it safe, so I'm not sure that they're going to be willing to go deep enough there.
Did I hear you say that this WandaVision is supposed to lead into a Winter Soldier?
So what I would say is WandaVision is the current MCU show. The next Marvel show that's coming out is Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Falcon was the black dude with the wings?
Yep. I do think I think there will be a connection. I don't know how strong. I also
really
don't
him.
know.
I like the Winter Soldier, though.
What's that?
I don't really like him. I like the Winter Soldier, though. I don't really like Falcon.
I get that. I think Winter Soldier's actually been more fleshed out than Falcon has. But I do like Anthony Mackie. I do think that he's a good actor.
The black dude?
The dude that plays Falcon.
He hates her. Or he hates me.
Exactly. Something like that. He ate me.
Yeah. He was fucking all the girls for the...
But that all being said, I do think that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has potential. This is hopefully kicking off kind of phase 4. I think folks are expecting too much out of the show in terms of WandaVision. I think folks were expecting it to deliver big time, and I'm just not sure it's going to.
Well, why should it not, though?
So, one, I don't think it was expecting to carry the load. I think the intent was that Black Widow, the movie, was actually going to be what carried us into...
That's, Black Widow is...
ScarJo. Yep.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So, I think the intent originally was that movie was what carried us into, quote-unquote, Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
Because that's been pushed because of COVID so much, this show is picking up a little bit of the slack, but I don't think that the intent was ever that it's what carries us into the next phase.
The pilot. Okay. So, okay. Okay. Who is the superhero featured in WandaVision?
So Wanda Maximoff is Scarlet Witch.
And who's the Scarlet Witch?
Scarlet Witch, honestly, she's probably one of the more powerful superheroes. She almost took down Thanos herself in Endgame and Infinity War.
Oh, so she was in all that.
Yeah. She's been around for a while. She was introduced with her brother Quicksilver, which in the X-Men movies, which that was a big reveal last week, they brought the X-Men version of Quicksilver into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, whereas the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of Quicksilver died in Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Okay.
I know that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Anyways, wrapping that conversation up, I do think that they've done a lot in the show, and I think the show is good. I honestly think that if they don't deliver a huge payoff in the last 2 episodes of the season, the show's not worth it.
Right.
It really isn't. It is on Disney Plus.
Scarlet Witch is a good guy.
Scarlet Witch starts off as a bad guy, becomes a good guy, and if you follow the comics, actually goes bad again.
Who's stronger, Scarlet Witch or Phoenix?
Oh, I don't know. Phoenix is probably.
That's what I was thinking.
But
I don't know Scarlet Witch either.
But Scarlet Witch almost took down Thanos with all of the Infinity Stones by herself.
But Phoenix is the Antichrist, basically.
Basically. And honestly, they have yet to do the best version of Phoenix in terms of entertainment, whether or outside of comic books in terms of like TV or movie.
That one chick.
I'm actually saying the best version of Phoenix was the cartoon, was the 90s cartoon version of Phoenix and Dark Phoenix.
So
But I'm talking about like the X-Men from when we were growing up.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, even then, I didn't really watch
I hear you.
those like that. I did watch some of them. I'm not going to lie, like I didn't watch any, but I did, I just don't like cartoons.
I hear you on that.
I'd much rather see live action. And I feel like that's why, not to bring it back, because we're definitely off this for everyone listening, but that's why that Mortal Kombat kind of resonated with me so
I get
much,
it.
because it was an animated thing that I fell in love with.
Yeah.
But the recreation of the animation in this, like, it was almost to the point that the trailer, I was like, ooh, kids probably shouldn't be watching this.
Well,
Like little kids probably, this shouldn't be just showing on TV at 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
So what I will say is
That's what made me love it.
It's funny that you're bringing that up, because what that reminded me of is Shar and I, so my wife and I went to go see Deadpool in the theaters.
I'm not a fan, man.
Not-
That shit. Ugh.
I love it, but that's not even my point. We went to go see Deadpool in the theaters, and there were these 2, I don't know, 8-year-old kids, 9-year-old kids watching Deadpool, and the scene comes on where Deadpool is getting fucked with the strap-on by his girlfriend in that movie. So have you never seen the Deadpool movie?
Oh, what?
You've never seen Deadpool. So
They did
Deadpool.
what and Lee did what?
So Ryan Reynolds is getting pegged, is getting fucked with a strap on, and I have these 2 8 to 10-year-olds sitting behind me in the movie theater, and it was definitely what was the Eminem line? It was these 2 12-year-olds with their 17-year-old uncle in the front row screaming, "Let's go!" Like, it was that kind of shit. I was just like, I cannot believe I'm sitting here watching this movie while I have 2 8-year-olds sitting behind me.
That's the
Because
adult
parents,
education like
because
that.
parents, and I don't know if this was this or the person that was
adult
watching
me.
them, but it was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, everything about Deadpool, like, if you know anything about
That
Deadpool,
was me and Shelby.
you know it's raunchy
They
as
probably
fuck.
bought a ticket to go see Up.
Right, and
They
just
were in Deadpool.
they were there with an
Oh, well.
adult though. That was the fucked up thing.
I got stories, sir.
I'm
know
sure
who
you
I
do.
am.
Why don't you tell a story while I go take a piss now?
I will not be snitching on anyone or anything.
Please don't snitch.
So I
But
will
tell
not.
a story without names.
All right. So once upon a time, there was a little boy birthed by. No, I won't go. I'm not. But fucking wait. Listen. Let me say this. I definitely agree that as far as your sexuality goes, that's something that you're born with. But I also think that as a whole, us in well, I won't say us, let's not say us, but them in the entertainment realm push a lot of things. And don't get me wrong, I understand that people of same-sex relationships may want to see more of themselves in, situations. We talked about rom-coms earlier today, and I feel like that applies. But at the same time, I do feel like there is an overly push of certain things, which once again is not a problem, but when it comes to the, let's be honest, shit like Deadpool, that's comic book shit. Nobody was getting fucked in the ass with a strap on in comic books. Like why do we have to go here? Like, I just don't get it. And it may be entertaining for some, and it may be a joke to others. And to me, I mean, it's not a huge deal because I don't care either way. But I do feel like there is a push for some reason, whatever it may be, whether it be to make everyone feel comfortable or equal or welcome. But I feel like it's a very unnecessary push that's being placed in the entertainment industry when it comes to homosexuality. Like, there's no reason why Deadpool should ever get fucked in the ass in a movie in general.
But it wasn't homosexual. It was coming from a female, like it was his girlfriend.
Right, and I completely get that. But what you're doing is normalizing getting fucked in the ass by your girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, Cliff, don't knock it till you tried it. I don't know
well,
what you're supposed to say at that point.
And I'm not saying trust and believe. The day that I stop knocking it is the day that I've tried it. You hear what I'm saying? And that's a fact, Jack. I'm just being a buck with you. I can't see anywhere where, and let's be honest. And I know I've had this conversation while you were upstairs, but sexuality in general. I don't need a man and a woman kissing all the time. I don't need my child seeing a man and a woman kiss all the fucking time. So what makes you think that I would like to see my child to see anything else? The sexuality in general is something that is being pushed on the younger generation. And I feel like it's...
I feel like you're not wrong there. My argument in the context, at least in terms of when I left, was...
Right, yeah, no...
With regards to Deadpool was an R-rated movie that kids weren't supposed to be seeing.
No, I definitely agree with that, but ask yourself, out of all the R-rated movies you've seen up until today, March 19th, how many...
February 19th. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. I don't know where March came from. But how many ass fuckings have you seen in those movies?
Not a ton, no. Not a lot.
You know what I'm saying? And that's all I'm getting at is we're teetering to a point where and this is a stretch. This is definitely a stretch that I'm acknowledging, but it's close to. We're teetering on a point where the adult film industry and entertainment is all one lump thing. There's no way I can say that you can't say that if we're talking about a dude getting pegged in a movie that.
But it's not. But it's not graphic. It's not graphic in the movie.
I get it, but at the same time, while you're saying I can't believe that there would be kids in this movie,
right?
They're talking about a superhero. They're talking about the things that entice children in superheroes. If you're enticed by Deadpool as a grown man, you have something fucking wrong with you.
But that's the whole point with Deadpool, is that it's supposed to be over the top, much like Spawn, I don't agree with you on that point, but I understand your overall point.
So what you're saying is Deadpool is the Family Guy of superheroes.
I would say South Park of superheroes, and I'm talking old school South Park.
That's a better, yeah, I would say that's a better
South
analogy.
Park because they're on Comedy Central and they can get away with more. Family Guy's on network TV and can't get away with this much.
Now I'm glad you cleared that up. That makes more sense. But see, here's the thing, though.
And I actually think it's the HBO version of South Park.
Do you have an HBO version of South Park?
I'm just saying, you know what I mean, like the uncensored version of South Park.
I follow now, but here's the thing, though, is that back in our day, that was the push, right? That was the bound. You were pushing the bounds of taking a cartoon that we know kids love and making it adult.
Now, I would argue now that there are plenty of adult-made cartoons.
Right. But see, now, how many adult-made superheroes are there?
But that's my whole point. That's exactly why I think Deadpool exists, is for it to be an adults-only superhero.
But that's the thing, though, because those are double negatives. That's the way my mind works, is there are no adult superheroes. Because as an adult, you know superheroes don't exist. There's nothing to look up to.
But you have to acknowledge, and this goes back to and I think we've actually hit on something like this before, not this exact topic, but the idea of how do you grow up nostalgia? Meaning, how do you take things that you and I grew up with and grow them with the fact that we've grown in that period of time?
And that's funny that you bring that up, is because now we have a bunch of fucking kids in this world, in this generation. A bunch of fucking kids that don't know how to be right. You feel what I'm saying? And back in the day, there wasn't an equivalence. You feel what I'm saying? The adults did not partake.
Kids are growing up faster and faster and faster.
And vice versa. What they're doing is, what's been happening is, whoever this is, the powers that be, have been interconnecting, like you said, childhood nostalgia and grown, what's it called? You feel what I'm saying?
Yep.
So at some point when you're a kid and you're searching just childhood shit, you come across the nostalgia of this and sexual content all intertwined, and it's like, well, wait.
That's rule 34 of the internet. If you can dream it, there's porn version of it.
You're right. But my thing is, it shouldn't be readily available. And to put that version in a movie, and don't get me wrong, I think anybody
So you're talking about the fact that it's that accessible because it's a mainstream movie.
Right. I think anybody should have artistic
license, and we've talked about that before too.
The fuck they want, but label it as such.
Yep.
You can't label something a superhero movie and expect children not to want to watch it.
And label it R versus like an NC-17 rating. Is that what you're saying? That's fair.
My number one is, don't fucking make it.
See,
don't fucking make a superhero movie.
I think it's a great movie.
Right, but as an adult, you can accept that information.
Yeah.
Retain and divulge whatever else doesn't, or not divulge,
but to your point,
push off anything.
Even an R rating feels like it's accessible at this point. I think the intent with the R rating though was always not appropriate for people under the age of 18. But I hear your point. That's the whole, if you tell a child no, and that they can't watch or do something, that's what they want to do.
It's not even that. To go back, 3 episodes, I believe, the clout situation.
Mm-hmm.
The clout chase. We're in the clout chasing era now. So it's not even about the child. It's about the clout. It's about, if I can put two things together that don't match.
You're hitting two different audiences. You're expanding your reach.
Right.
I also don't think that that's necessarily a problem, but I hear you.
No, I don't think it's a problem on the internet, but I think it's a problem in movies. On internet, that's
with the
different.
Mainstream.
Right. On internet, it's different, because me as a parent, you shouldn't be on that fucking site anyway. But can I say you shouldn't be at that movie theater? And
you can. That's part of being a parent, is being able to tell your child what they should be able to go see and not.
But that's the thing, though, Michael. That's the thing. I can say, yeah, you're a kid. Be happy.
That's why they check IDs, or they're supposed to check IDs at movie theaters.
But listen, be happy and enjoy cartoons and superheroes and video games. Right? But then we get to a point where cartoons, superheroes, and video games are now promoting sex, same sex, all this shit. Then it's like, well, okay, now I have to pull them back all together from this.
That's the evolution.
To a point of I can't send them to the movie theater by themselves.
I hear what you're saying. What I would say is that's the evolution of entertainment, because guess what? We've grown up. We've grown up with access to all of those things.
We've
so
definitely grown up, but
I expect the content that I have the ability to access has grown with me.
You are correct, but I can confidently say we didn't have all this available to us back in the day. We might have had dial-up. We might have been able to log on to porn. We might have been able to call sex phone lines on pay phones. We might have been able to do all that.
Well, no, we had to watch the scrambled porn on.
Right. But once we get to a point,
check out Skinamax, and if you were lucky, you got to see a boob.
But listen, once we get to a point where we can put in movies, people getting pegged, how can we then question why sex trafficking is a $150 billion a year industry?
But you're acting like those two things have grown at the same rate. Sex trafficking has always been a $150 billion a year industry.
Listen, but it's a complete. But that's what I'm saying. It's a complete difference when you're advertising sex.
Trust me, I understand what you're saying. You and I aren't going to be on the same page on this one.
And I get it.
Which is okay.
And
like,
don't get me wrong. A lot of that it's not a lot of that. All of it is from perspective.
Yeah.
And the perspective is you're raising a boy, I'm raising a girl.
And I get that too. I do. I understand that.
And the bottom line is Andrew will never come home 10 pounds overweight because he's carrying a baby in his gut. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I have to watch out for things that may be disguised as regular. That's not regular.
I hear you.
And to my daughter, I don't care whoever feels like they're disrespected, that's not regular. And if you think it's regular, you're dumb as fuck.
I hear you.
I'm here as your dad telling you that's not normal. And if the world tells you it is, tell the world they're lying. That's dumb. That's not correct. Do not believe it. And the problem is we don't have enough parents saying that. So it's like, I don't want to because I may be fuck who I'm offending.
Yeah.
This is my child.
No, I get that.
And
I don't disagree with you on that.
And all I'm saying is, I expect my child to sneak into our movies. I did it. Right. Do it. But once those R movies become quote unquote softcore porno flicks.
But see,
yeah, right. It's a joke. I get it. It's a joke.
But that's also where I'm like, R-rated movies have always been that way, man.
No, they haven't.
They really have, though.
Michael, if you really look back and go, listen, it was a big deal. And remember, I talked about this, me and Shelby going to see Varsity Blues. Mm-hmm. It was a big fucking deal when that girl came out with the
whipped cream bikini. Yep.
And now we're in a situation.
But there were other movies that were R-rated. There were other movies that came in R-rated at that same time that depicted rape scenes. Like, that's been around. That's right, my whole point.
That's real. That's real. I don't want rape scenes out of movies.
Okay.
100. I don't want them out of movies.
No, I hear
want
you
my
on
daughter
that.
To see them so she can be like, ooh, shit, that's a situation I don't want to ever be in.
Right.
But then to put someone in a comedic situation where I might be willing to take some, then that the kids that are watching are like, well, what are they talking? What's this? What's going on here?
So I guess my question is, like, here I do hear your point on this. So
you're making shit.
But I'm also thinking of something like American Pie, right?
That's different.
Talking about like putting a flute in their pussy or fucking a pie, like. Different. How is it different though? It's different.
They did that by themselves.
There wasn't a person doing it.
They chose to do that.
All right.
He chose to stick his dick in that pie. She chose to stick that flute in her pussy. But nobody
So
else
there's
did
no
that to
so there's
her.
no sex scenes in any of those movies?
Well, yeah, there's definitely.
But that's my whole
sex
point.
scenes. There's definitely sex scenes, right?
That's my whole point.
But listen,
though.
let me ask you something, right? And maybe it comes down to a much deeper question. And maybe the question is, are we making something to make everyone comfortable? And
I'm trying to understand what you mean by that.
So when I say, are we making something to make everyone comfortable?
No, R-rated and comedy by definition is not supposed to make everyone comfortable.
You're once again, you're getting into my point.
Okay, I'm listening.
What I'm saying, are we making?
That's why I was giving you the look and waiting for you to make your point.
Are we making something to make everybody comfortable? Meaning the people that like to get fucked in the ass with a strap. You understand what I'm saying? Sex is natural, right?
Okay.
Sex is natural. Whether it be a man and a woman, a man and a man, a woman and a woman. That's natural. Right? But here's the thing. That is not, well, I don't want to say is not. I will say is not always, or has not always been portrayed in children entertainment. You feel what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying.
Even South Park did not portray sexual shit like they talked about it. They did talk about it. Definitely remember Chef talking about...
I'm not even talking about Chef. I'm talking about Saddam and Satan.
Don't know anything about that.
That was the whole fucking South Park movie. Was Saddam and Satan talking about shoving dildos up each other's asses.
Well, I missed the movie, but the difference is in what you're saying is South Park had always, even though I said it's a cartoon, which is for kids, but you're modeling it to adults, South Park has always modeled themselves as something that should not be viewed by children.
Completely agree.
They've always had a
and I actually, in my argument,
before the beginning of their show.
And my argument is that Deadpool did the same thing.
But see, here's the
But
thing,
we don't have to agree on that. That's okay.
No,
you don't have to agree with me on the fact that it was an R-rated movie and by definition isn't meant for kids.
No, what I'm saying is, here's the thing, is South Park was, let's be honest, and I don't want to put this on anybody, the makers of basketball. But let's be honest, you were
Matt and Trey. Is that who you're talking
about? You were the push. And we're in the winter season.
It's all their problem. It was all Matt and Trey's fault. That's what you're saying.
You were the push of the downhill sled that a child was on to see some shit they didn't have no business seeing.
I hear you.
Because let's be honest, South Park, while it was modeled for adults, was still a child show. It's a cartoon. It's a cartoon.
It was an adolescent show. I wouldn't say a child.
I get it, but it's a cartoon, right? And don't get me wrong, I grew up watching it. Not a lot, because it wasn't funny to me, but I grew up watching it. And I don't feel like there was anything wrong with it. But at the same time, all of the shows that I've seen, I've never. Now, I've seen a lot of allusion to activity, but I've never seen anything like.
I mean, the very first South Park episode was Cartman gets an anal probe. Literally, the very first episode of South Park.
Okay, did they show the probe? Because I remember that episode.
They do.
No, they don't.
They show it going into him. Yes, they do.
No, they didn't.
Oh, my God.
No, they didn't.
Wait. Nope. Give me a minute. Cartman gets an anal probe.
No, they didn't.
Cartman Gets an Anal Probe is the series premiere of South Park.
Right. You said that.
Series premiere. First episode.
You said that.
Give me a second. I'm going to have to scroll through the episode to see where it actually happens.
I remember him laying on the little shit with the little sheet over him.
Right. And you see it go down.
See what go down? Like, I'm not understanding what you're saying.
You see the probe go down to him in the sheet, and then keep going.
Okay, right. So,
which is no different than what they showed in Deadpool, is what I'm saying.
but see, this is the thing that you're not understanding.
No, this is what you're not understanding.
No,
this shit is the same
you're
thing.
You're not telling me anything other than Cartman got probed, so there's nothing for me to understand. What I'm saying is the season premiere came out when, Mike?
96.
Exactly. What year are we in, Mike? It's been 25 years.
Okay, but what's your point on that?
25
You're acting
years.
like this.
Listen,
your point was that this shit wasn't around when we were growing up.
No.
But that's what you've been saying.
No. That's not what I've been saying.
Oh,
what I've been saying is that
here we go again.
This whole situation has progressed from then.
I'm saying it
What I
hasn't
said was,
progressed. It's the same shit. Cartman got fucked by a probe, and then Deadpool got fucked 5 years ago. What's the problem?
Nah, it's not the same thing. That's a false equivalence, first and foremost.
It's not.
Firstly,
it's the same shit.
It's not at all. It's not at all. But like I said, they pushed it down a hill. They were the ones to start the hill. Because the issue is when you bring in something like a cartoon that's made for kids and you make it for adults, of course you're going to have, because this is the genius of South Park.
Literally, this satellite dish comes out of his ass and pops up, and it's a satellite dish. Just saying. I'm watching it here on the screen right now.
Michael, that is completely fucking different.
See, I disagree.
That's completely fucking different. That's completely fucking different.
It's not.
How? How do you see that not? How do you see that not?
It's something going into a dude's ass. That's how it's not different.
As opposed to animated, as opposed to what you want to call it, CGI.
But if your
life.
point is kid oriented, it's not any different. I'm done with this conversation. Let's move on.
I mean, clearly though, because I never even got a chance to finish what I was saying.
Finish what you're saying.
It's okay, because it's not a concern.
I also came back to this after taking a shit, so
it's not a concern. But the bottom line is, like I said, there's a lot of things that are being pushed on the children of today. There's a lot of things that are being...
I think what I would say is I wouldn't consider it pushed. I would say there is more responsibility on parents than ever before to manage what their kids are, because of accessibility. So to the
exactly
point,
saying,
to
Mike,
the point that you're saying here is, I would argue that it is more accessible to kids today, which means the burden on parents is heavier. I would say that material was always available.
I mean, but that's just as broad as the futurist.
What I would say is
that statement is just as broad as the futurist, because of course we know that there's been you can look up a murder online. We know that.
Yeah. So what's your point?
My point is that as
you feel like it's being pushed. Tell me what you mean by being pushed, I guess.
What do you mean what it's by being pushed?
What do you mean by it's being pushed? Because kids have access to it? Kids have always have access to fucked up shit.
I'll tell you what. This is what I'll do. Because
and I legit, like, and again, I'm not, at the end of the day, I'm not arguing with you on this. Like, I agree that the access and kids having the ability to see more fucked up shit more easily, yes. I'm also arguing that access has always been there. Yes, you may have had to work a little harder. So I want to understand what your point is.
Where my question is how has it always been there, Mike? Do you remember how hard it was to watch porn back in the day?
I mean, honestly, since the time that I was like ready to watch porn, it wasn't that hard.
See, that must be the difference between me and you, is because I remember having to go over to somebody's house that had internet dial-up just to see.
So your dad didn't have porno tapes or porno mags that you could like swipe?
Now, listen, there's a difference between looking at a porno magazine and looking at a porno video.
Okay, so your dad didn't have any videos that you could swipe?
Not until the Scrambler came out. which was probably around the time that, listen, we
So you and I were probably at the same age at that point.
We talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Around the time I started selling porno DVDs to the kids in school, 8th, 9th grade.
Right. And I would say that about the same.
Well, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing now. I said 8th, 9th grade, which would be 14, 15 years old, right? Nowadays, we have situations where kids have to have cell phones to be in contact with their parents, right?
Do they have to, though?
Unless you have a stay-at-home mom or somebody that can keep track of them, make sure they're on and off of the bus when they need to. Yeah, they do.
But we had to get on and off the bus. Why do they have to have a phone to do that? Just because it's the norm now doesn't mean that it has to be.
Well, listen, let me explain something to you, Michael. Like you said, your child's still 4, right?
He's almost 6, but yeah.
I'm saying regardless, he's not going anywhere by himself.
We've talked about it on the podcast recently.
Is
he spends more time out and about than I ever did at his age. But I hear your point.
We're not talking about in the neighborhood. A bus comes to your house because they cannot walk to the place that they need to go.
I get it.
Which means that there is a lot of time from on, off the bus to, and whatever the case may be, that child is alone with themselves.
I get that. I understand what you're saying.
And beyond alone with themselves, think about all the...
But all I'm saying is...
Wait.
How is that any different than when we were growing up?
I said I never got a chance to finish it. Beyond alone with themselves and kids being able to see things like that, we're also in a time where adults get into South Park and Deadpool. And all of them aren't you. All of them don't have a healthy sense of humor. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot of fucked up individuals that are around here.
My argument is that there have always been fucked up individuals, but continue.
Right, Mike. But what I'm saying is, how long has South Park been around?
30 years.
How long have they been showing superheroes getting fucked in the ass with straps?
20 years.
So what I'm saying is, it's a clear progression, right?
You seem to think so. I don't necessarily agree, but I hear.
That sounds to me like that's a progression from cartoon entertainment for adults to the real entertainment that is action heroes or superheroes for adults, but has some deviant behavior in it. Like I'm just thinking of it from the sense of a child looking at it. And me as a child, I don't think a child should be looking at it. That's right. The whole point. But what do we say? It's available. It's available. That's what I'm saying. So me thinking of it from a child's perspective, I don't see anything wrong with it either. But wait until I run into that adult that feels the same way. Oh, you like Deadpool too? Did you see?
That's the whole. You want to see a puppy? Like it's
right.
Not any different.
Right. You're telling me. You're saying the exact. That's exactly.
And
what
again,
I'm saying.
I don't understand what your point is.
Okay.
This is the same cyclical arguments we always get into.
Let's just put it this and let's end it here. My point is the exact same reason why you have people out here promoting pedophilia as a sexuality. We feel like that's normal for people to like kids, so let's push this to be a sexuality, which is going on currently.
Has always been going on, but continue.
G. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. That has not
NAMBLA?
Been going
NAMBLA
on.
Hasn't been around for
First of all, I don't know what
80 years?
NAMBLA is.
That's the South Park joke, but it's the North American Boy Love Association. If you don't think pedophilia has been around since the dawn of time, you are fucked in the head.
That's the thing, and I've noticed from listening back to podcasts, you like to switch things into your narrative. That's not at all what I'm saying. Not at all saying that pedophilia has not been around. We know the history of the world.
Right.
We know squires.
So what's your point?
By night.
So
we know all of this.
So what's your point?
I'm saying, listen, I've said it. We are on a progressive path. We are progressing when it comes to things that people are open to. We are. That's a fact. That's a factual situation.
Okay.
We're now, like I said, we're in the realm of understanding. Where we're
I agree.
You've
said that, yes.
Yeah, I have said that, but it's not hard to see that the world's on the same, where they're trying to feel like, well, was I wrong for thinking? And yeah, a lot of times we are wrong for thinking the way we thought in the past. But a lot of the times there are things that let you know we're not headed to a good track. And you don't have to be a fucking genius to see that's not a good track to be on. And we've been on that track for a while now. Goes back to last week's conversation. We've been on that track. And the fact that we're now on the track where it's like, listen, kids getting snatched up 6 per day. But listen, as long as my movies have shit like that in them and my cartoons keep me laughing, oh well.
This is a complete non sequitur, but all right.
How is it? How?
Those two things aren't related. That shit's been going on since before that shit was available.
Right, but we have not been pushing this publicly to people. That's the difference. Is that this has been going on inside of people's own heads, right? Didn't we talk about this last week? The whole point of the internet was to let you know you're not alone. There are other people that think like you.
So what I will say is, raw numbers-wise, you may be correct. Percentage of population-wise, you're not. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the whole point. We have gone from 1 billion to 2 billion to 5 billion to 7 billion over the last 300 years.
If it happens to one person in a population, it's a problem. If one person's child gets snatched up, it's a problem.
No one would argue with that.
So the fact that we're now at multiple a day and are still producing shit that's kind of like, that's the issue.
See, but you're connecting those two things. I'm not.
Well, see, that's the thing, that I may have a reason to connect them where you may not. Because there's not a lot of women out here snatching up little boys trying to jack them off in the back of a van. But there is vice versa. And that's factual. Factual information. So that may be the reason why I see difference in situations like that. And it's just a matter of perspective.
All right.
But tune into WandaVision.
Sure. Yeah, I don't really know where to go from there, just because when I left, we were talking about, to your point, WandaVision, and when I came back, we were talking about fucking pedophilia. So, fuck, I don't know how to recover from that at this point. We are at the 2-hour mark. Maybe it's just time to shut down the show. My hope was to get into The Black Messiah, or Judas and the Black Messiah. It was a movie that dropped on HBO tonight, or not tonight, over the last week or two. Daniel Kaluuya presenting basically as Fred Hampton. I wanted to bring it up just because we've talked about Fred Hampton on the podcast before. So the title Judas and the Black Messiah is really about the Black Messiah being Fred Hampton. Honestly, after watching the movie, Daniel Kaluuya didn't do justice to Fred Hampton. Having listened to and seen videotape of Fred Hampton and how he spoke and how he united gangs, poor people in general in Chicago, the movie didn't do him justice. I think it was an important story to be told, and I think we actually called out a couple weeks ago, like, why hasn't there been a Fred Hampton movie? There is now. Well, it just didn't do him justice.
Well,
so
see, I mean, that the thing about that is that a lot of that history was covered up for a reason.
Completely agree. Which is why I thought it was important for them to do a movie on it.
But see, that's the thing. You're not going to get a truthful movie out of that if they still haven't uncovered the history. If they still won't admit to the actual history, then how do you know?
But I would argue that at this point, like, enough has been proven through whether it was the Cointel leak, through actual like video evidence.
I mean, those are also people that choose to look into it as well. Because if you just leave it as case closed from what they said, there's a lot of people that aren't.
But you're missing the point. It was, I think it was about 10 years after it happened. People broke into FBI offices, found all the files, and literally did a data dump. Like,
right.
had this happened, it would have been like WikiLeaks, right?
I know the story. But how
was not WikiLeaks because the internet wasn't around back then. Everyone, at least if you have any desire to learn about it, I won't say it's common knowledge. What I will say is if you have any desire to learn about it, you know Fred Hampton was killed in his sleep. 99 shots were fired by Chicago PD. One shot was fired by Fred Hampton and the Black Panthers. He was shot, like, I want to say it was like, in the movie they say it's 3 times or 4 times. I remember it being like 9 to 10 times. Basically, in his bed, was executed in front of his girlfriend, who was pregnant with his child at that point. It's a story that, while it's important that at least there's a version of the story out there, because honestly, like personally, and I think we talked about this while we were going through our What They Don't Teach You in School series, the idea of him being the Black Messiah was legit.
He was the Black Messiah.
No, completely agree with you. There wasn't the movie doesn't convey that well enough, is what I'll say. I think it's an important story. I'm glad it got told. It wasn't told as well as it could be. Daniel Kaluuya does not do enough to make you understand how charismatic Hampton was. And so I wanted to touch on that a little bit. I think it's a good movie. Again, I think it's worth the watch. I think it's a well-shot movie. I think it's a well-acted movie. I just don't think you understand. Like, if you go back and you listen to tapes of Fred Hampton versus the movie, the tapes will get you more amped than the movie, and that's a problem in my mind.
I can already tell you, go back and watch the 1999 flick Panther. That'll give you a lot better of an understanding of the Black Panthers than I'm sure that movie did.
Does
with Bokeem Woodbine?
But does that get into Fred in particular? Because I feel like the story around Fred Hampton hasn't become widely known until like the last 10, 15 years. I'm not saying it wasn't known before that, but I feel like it's been more. It's made it more into the mainstream in the last decade and a half.
Once again, it depends on.
Agreed. I understand what you're saying there.
But as far as the movie that I'm talking about, it doesn't name him specifically, but yes, it does get into the story of Fred Hampton. Definitely doesn't name him specifically as who he is in the movie, but you know exactly who it is that you're watching.
Right.
But once again, like I said, like when you get into situations where the history itself hasn't been uncovered, you can't ever expect to get a truthful depiction of what actually happened in that time. So that's just something that, I mean, to be honest, we're not going to get until it gets to that point that we discussed last episode.
No, and I get you on that. And my whole thing was, and I don't even remember who ended up directing this HBO flick. Like, all I could think about watching the movie was, I wish Ryan Coogler had done it.
Right.
I wish Coogler had done
it. Listen, let's be honest. You need.
And I wish Chadwick had been the one playing him. No. Honestly, no.
You know what? That honestly would.
Daniel Kaluuya played him. The problem that I had with it wasn't Fred Hampton light skinned, and Daniel Kaluuya is fucking dark as shit.
That's why you should watch Panther.
Okay.
That's why you should watch. Now, after what I said this week, watch that Panther, and we'll get back next week and see if that doesn't give you a perspective or a perception of what it is that I'm getting at.
No, I'm definitely up for watching it. Because I think
it's always different perspectives, right? That shit means different things to different people. And we are never in a point as human beings where we can understand everyone's perspective. But it is good to step outside of your own to see what else could be viewed.
No, I agree with you there.
I feel like that's the hypocriticism of our country today. You feel me? And not to get in because I know we're wrapping it up, but
I just wanted to move past the topic. If we want to go a little longer, I have no problem with that.
Well, listen, to get into.
But if you take it back there, you and I are going to fight over this shit. So what do you mean? Sorry.
Pedophilia.
Stop. Just stop.
But I do stand by everything I said. What I will say though is,
and no one's saying you shouldn't.
What I will say though is, a perfect comparison is, I feel like the whole Gina Carano situation.
Okay. With
what she said and how Jews are all up in arms. And I know I've said it past on the podcast, is that may be, not to put anyone at odds, but that may be the issue that the black community has with the Jews, is that we share so much in common. Yet
and it doesn't feel like we're treated.
So much on our end.
Yep.
But someone can claim anti-Semitism and cancel their entire life. But when it comes to black folks, it's no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
That's where the lack of respect, and I won't even say respect, but lack of empathy comes from.
Yeah.
And when I say empathy, I don't mean as far as the Holocaust goes. Definitely have empathy towards that, even though there's been bigger Holocausts against black folks. But that doesn't seem to be talked about. So when shit like Nick Cannon comes about and things like that, and people claim anti-Semitism, it's so quick to shut them down immediately. But just the black person saying, hey, what about us? And Jews not saying, hey, what about them? Does make black folks feel like, fuck y'all. Like, fuck y'all.
I get it.
If anybody should understand, y'all should, but y'all don't, so fuck y'all.
No, I get that.
So the Gina Carano situation is another one. It's a big hypocriticism where it's like, I understand it from my perspective, but I refuse to understand it from any other. So this is the way it is and the way it should always be. And now we're coming into an area where that's not the way it is and the way it always will be. So it comes to people to be like, well, could I see that from that perspective?
Yeah.
And that's the issue that we're having right now, is no one's willing to pull themselves out from behind their own two eyes or their own pineal gland to say, well, could it be different? Yeah, it very well could. There's so many opportunities in this world that we live in that we couldn't immediately jump to a conclusion and say that that is the way it is and it couldn't be any other way. Because everything could be everything and nothing could be nothing. We know that, right? That's all I'm saying.
I just think that's a funny statement given the conversation we just went through. So, no, I'm with you on the Gina Carano situation. It's, while there are actually other comments of hers that bothered me more, the ones that are getting her quote unquote canceled.
I probably should have said that first.
Aren't is like,
right.
To me, don't. Honestly, what it is, it's
probably should have said that first. You are right.
You have to understand that Disney is with Bob Iger in particular, is a super liberal
Disney
company.
Needs to go to Cancun.
Right. No, honestly, everything I've heard is that they were looking for a reason to fire Gina anyway. So, we are about at time. I would like to just circle back to the question that I wanted to ask you originally back on the before I left, and I never should have left, because if I had asked you this question before I left, maybe we wouldn't have gotten where we got. Video game movies that haven't been made, video games that haven't been made into a movie or a TV show. What would you want to see? Was the question that I think we brought up earlier that we diverted from. I want to come back to it just before we close out, just because I think it'll be a fun end to the show. So video games that haven't been made into a movie or a TV show and that you would want to see.
Oh, I can only think of one, and that would be God of War.
So God of War, you think that's a movie or a TV show?
That would have to be a movie.
You think so?
Be a movie. That couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't see that being a. That would have to be a movie the same way Mortal Kombat was produced. It couldn't be a TV show for the simple fact that the way the game was created, you can't water that down with TV cinema. You have to have some money behind that to put.
So let me change your thought process there just a little bit. What if it was on Netflix or HBO?
Still wouldn't.
Okay.
Still wouldn't, and especially Netflix and HBO, because if I'm being honest, you dropped the ball multiple times. I feel like HBO dropped the ball with Game of Thrones. Started out hot, but then when you lost the books and you didn't want to talk to the
You didn't
guy,
know how to finish it out once
right,
you were past the
you
books.
fucked it up. So you proved you weren't capable of handling something like that. As far as Netflix goes, I feel like like Netflix focuses a little more on their originals, but I still wouldn't trust them to.
See, I feel like God of War would fit very well into kind of the same model as like The Witcher.
See, that's the thing is, I feel like The Witcher was a little cheesy-ish compared to the game.
Okay.
And that's what I don't want from I
God of
wouldn't
War.
want from God of War, which
That's
is why
fair.
I say I would need it to be a cinematic thing instead of a TV. Because let's be honest, when it comes to TV, you can see a very evident decrease in value that you put into each episode.
Yes and no. I struggle with that more from watching The Mandalorian, and I know you commented on Game of Thrones. While Game of Thrones, because of a storyline, because they didn't have anything to adapt in the last season, I don't necessarily agree with some of the plot choices. From a show perspective, I thought it was still a good show.
No, I can get with that, but the difference is the reason why you can say that is because it came from a book.
Yeah,
There weren't
it was
visuals.
adapting. Yep.
God of War gives you visuals, and in order to capture
Your point on
those
that.
visuals
Okay.
in a way that captivates the audience, you can't do that with a TV show. You have to put money behind that. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
So I think my one on the same question would be I would love to see a Fallout kind of anthology series.
Okay, see, I don't know. I know about it, but I don't.
So Fallout is all post-apocalyptic. It's all based on like it was coming out of the 50s. There was nuclear war and like the technology and pop culture never evolved past the 50s.
Right.
I feel like you could do that show with each game being a season in terms of like an anthology series on like an HBO or a Netflix. But if you're not familiar with the games,
Right. I mean, I feel like
I feel like the post-apocalyptic setting would work though. Like it would feel like it
work.
just popped up on HBO. It would feel like Book of Eli, but
with robots though, and my whole thing that
but yes, there are robots in Fallout, but it's not like a major plot point. Like
I get it, but coming from me, just my realm of thought, my first thing that like kind of kills the what do you call it? The
Uncle Dan does want to
childhood.
know if Kratos gets pegged in your version of God of War.
Only if he loses. And that would probably be a Pornhub parody, Uncle Dan. But wait, what was the question you asked?
So the question was more around you were bringing up robots in Fallout and why that didn't make sense to you.
The reason why it doesn't make sense to me in my mind is that that's not feasible. You know what I mean? Like it's just not feasible for you to create a robot suit to walk around and fight.
Oh, you're talking about like the power armor suit. Okay.
All that. Yeah, that doesn't it wouldn't work.
See, in my mind, the power armor is not that's not a critical item of Fallout. There is a faction in Fallout where that's like a big deal to them. Okay. And in my mind, but that's so not like
that may be our disconnect.
It doesn't have to be part of the story in my mind. He actually brought up Uncle Dan brought up Splinter Cell.
Ooh, no.
You don't think that could work like a 24?
It definitely could, but I don't think that it would bring in as many views as you would think.
Okay. All right.
Just because it's been done before. You know
yeah, it would feel like any other spy show.
It would only be the people that would be familiar with the game that would want to tune in. It wouldn't be the new...
To some extent.
The new kids that are like, well, what's Splinter Cell? You know what I mean? You've never played the game, so you're like, well, I don't know what the show's about. You know? Like, I may like the show, but I don't know the game. Where, as opposed to if you know the game and know the show, you're like, I'm in.
So, the only other one that would come to mind to me in terms of video games into movies or TV shows, I actually think that there is a missed opportunity right now with the Zelda franchise.
I can see that.
And it being a combo adventure role-playing game.
I could agree.
Like, I feel like that one could be adapted pretty well, and it hasn't been yet. And it sounds like there's been news that has dropped recently, like in the last couple of weeks, around Nintendo actually had a plan to option Zelda as a TV show.
Yeah, they
but because
they're not giving none of that up.
Right, but because it got leaked, they pulled whatever they were working on. More so, who's the Link, right? Like
that's what I meant.
Yeah. Who's? No, I understand what you're saying.
I don't know.
I honestly would like it to be an unknown.
It would have to be an unknown.
Either that or you gotta do like Tom Holland from Spider-Man.
The little dude, the dude from the new Spider-Man?
Yes, like the young Spider-Man that's been in Avengers and all that.
That's actually not a bad pick. See, me, I was thinking off the wallish.
What were you thinking?
If I'm being honest, I was thinking off the wallish. And this goes to show you my Zelda expertise, and I'm probably thinking of it from a production standpoint as to how can we make the most money.
Okay.
I would go with Michael Cera and try to make it more
like almost comedic, or
not comedic, but looser. You know what I mean? Not so strict to the storyline.
Right? Yeah.
Like,
okay.
Make it a little more open. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which, honestly, there's been enough Zelda storylines. Like, as long as you focus it around Link trying to
free the little chick or whatever.
Free Zelda or to fight Ganondorf. Yeah, so the princess is Zelda.
Okay. I'm
the main character is Link.
I knew that. I knew Link, but
so the princess, the whole damsel in distress is Zelda. Although in more recent iterations of the game, Zelda is not a damsel in distress. She actually is contributing to the story. I could see that. I could.
What you talking about? What I said?
Yeah. Okay. Is Michael Cera playing a Link, but having it be a little bit more
funny,
loose,
but like
loose.
Funny moments.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I don't know. Listen, all I know is I don't want nobody pegged.
Except Kratos.
Keep that to Pornhub. My features are still, my systems are still dark.
They're still dark. You still got dark themes.
You know what I'm saying? Let's keep it there with the dark theme.
All right. Well, we are at about the 2.5 hour mark. I'm glad we got over the hump there in the middle. Cliff, you got anything to talk to the people about? What you got going on? Where can people find you? You got a show coming up this weekend?
I do have a show coming up this weekend.
I am trying to give you a plug for Hit the Showers, motherfucker.
I know. And that was just my productive thought process saying I will not be available Saturday because, let's be honest, the shit that's more available to you motherfuckers don't watch. So don't catch me this Saturday at 7:30.
Talking about the NFL or maybe the fights, depending on.
Talking about both NFL free agency and fight introductions. But what I will say to people that are interested in fight gambling and all that, it may be a good show to tune into. Maybe talking about some things, maybe making some things happen. But maybe is the ... for you to figure out if you want to tune in.
There you go. What I will say is I encourage you all to check out the new show from the Foolproof Entertainment Network, Hit the Showers. I also encourage you to check out the Mind and Body Understanding podcast hosted by Jeff Pharion. And brought to you by Pharion Counseling LLC. As recently covered on NBC4i.com. With all of that, do us a favor. Whether you're watching the YouTube or you're listening to this back on podcast, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. We appreciate you. We appreciate you listening in tonight. And as always, I have been
Ted Cruz.
Suck a Dick Ted Cruz. Or our new personal favorite.
Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
Listen, if y'all Texans is still following Ted Cruz, then y'all the fools who followed him.
And with all that, we appreciate y'all. We thank you for joining us tonight. Have a good evening.
And shoot at all the white vans you see riding by.
And peace out, fools.
Allegedly. The lawyer lady up there in the booth is telling me to say allegedly.